All right. Good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So, I start the show off usually pretty consistently and pretty normally, but hey, another new guest co-host, yada yada yada. But I'm actually super, super pumped. I'm always pumped to podcast. But I'm going to be reconnecting, well, really new connection, but reconnecting to my old fire life. And our guest co-host today will be as well because she's probably got way more better stories than I do. But let's just give you a quick background because I want to get right into this and waste any time. She might care a little bit about sustainable wellness, which is why I reached out to her. And I'm a big health nut. That's why health comes first in the show. We're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. Health has to come first. But she's built a business around it. She's consulting, she's guiding. And thanks to our old, wildland fire world that I came from briefly, and she spent way more many years into, she's actually giving back to that world and connecting to that world, which I wish I had when I was doing it because I pretty much had to figure it out as I went. But 15 years as a wildland firefighter, ladies and gentlemen, Region 1 and Region 4. I was Region 3 out of Arizona. And I love it because she just said, I'm just going to pivot back to my roots, dive deep into nutrition, get a health coaching business going, right? I love the entrepreneurial spirit. That's what I ended up having to find eventually in my life. But again, a fellow health nut like me, nut balls around running and skiing. And obviously she's a parent. She's got some kiddos and she even has a husband who's still a smoke jumper, which we can dig into that today too. I'm constantly having to clarify hot shots versus smoke jumpers. She's been both. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Jessie Thomas, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, airing from Montana,
hmm
FYI, one of my best buddies lives out there. He's in Manhattan, which
hmm
is how far is that from Bozeman? I don't even know.
From Bozeman, I'd say 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he used to be my wife's pharmaceutical med rep for the horse doctor
Okay.
business, right?
Yeah.
Equine therapy. And
hmm
then he's a huge fly fisherman.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, obviously, where else are you going to move? So, yeah, so he moved out there, and he's recently been married in the past couple of years and just had his first kid. So,
Nice.
super happy for shot for John Ryan, and he finally listened to me after all these years, and I helped him launch his podcast. So,
Oh, cool.
him and his co-founder are trying to give back to the equine doctor, and for example, you and I can go in deep today about the stress of wildland firefighting, the risks that are taken in those careers, but people underestimate the stress and the psychological damage and also the social impacts of what our veterinary doctors go through day in and day out,
hmm
trying to save people's loved animals' lives or not. And
hmm
I married into it. So believe me, I'm highly aware of it. And he's just created a show to help try and see if he can impact that industry a little bit. So I'm super
Wow, that's
excited for that.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's dive into this. So you I'm going to start the show so I don't skip over it. You actually filled out my form properly.
Oh, I
No
did.
one,
Oh my
no one,
gosh.
no one gives me
That's
a quote.
amazing.
I ask for quotes all the time. I fell in love with quotes years ago,
Uh-huh.
and "Live the Fuel" actually stands for it's a quote. It stands for "Live the fired up epic life," right? An ode
Mm.
to my fire education life experiences because my favorite quote when I left to go take on this crazy life choice was from Ernest Hemingway. And it was called "Live Life to the Fullest." And then after all of that, and when I was getting this brand going, I'm like,
hmm
how do I create my own acronym or quote or whatever? But you gave us
Yeah.
a quote. You said, "We are the agents for change in our internal ecosystems and the ecosystems in the world around us. We aren't separate. It's time to stack the deck in favor of both." And is that on your website too?
It is.
I
Yeah.
love it. So I
I,
want let's start there because we could get into all kinds of
yeah.
history. Why that quote?
Um, I think it was kind of just the reason I started this business in that, we look at nutrition and we look at health related stuff and information separate from environmental information that's, like people are lacking the connection and the awareness that we are a part of whatever ecosystem we live in. And so I just felt like it was bizarre and that, like if I'm going to be talking about what people are eating, I can't talk about that without talking about how it was grown. And then in turn, can't talk about that without sort of addressing the fact of how something is grown relates to its nutrient density, which is obviously going to impact the human, but how it's grown is also going to impact the ecosystem that we live in, the water, aquatic environments, the soil systems, the air, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just thought it was a bizarre thing if I was stepping into the health and wellness space to also just be kind of excluding how food is raised. We just talk about what food is. We don't talk about where it comes from or how it's raised. And that just didn't line up for me. There wasn't alignment there. So I had to make sure that I was clear about that. And I think that conversation is evolving a little bit more. I think people are a little bit more tuned in to the fact that, oh, what I eat, matters as much as how it was raised. But it's not reached, I think, its full pitch. I don't think we've kind of hit the point where we've reached critical mass with that conversation, because I see a lot of people out there like subscribing to different dietary or different diets, and it's like, well, I mean, we can easily pick on a vegan diet, right? I'm sure that we could do that. Low hanging fruit. I know.
On that one.
No, I mean, but like, they're like, oh, I really want to be healthy. So I'm going to it could be anything. It could be any diet. But plant-based is easy because it's, Oreos are plant-based. So it's kind of like, all right, well.
Technically, my beef is plant-based. I just chose to let the mammal do the processing of the plants because that's in its genetics. That's what it does. So ergo herbivore.
Absolutely. So I mean, so that's why I made that statement. That's why it's on my website, because I just was not interested in talking to people about eating, these quote unquote superfoods and not talking about where it was coming from, or that we are participating in the ecosystems we live in.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit of a health nut geek because I grew up on a farm. I just didn't know that I was born into a natural state of being a health nut. I didn't know that, raising chickens and pigs and working at a dairy farm when I was 14 and throwing hay bales in the field and then coming home and we outsourced our fields. We had a small farm, but we always had alfalfa planted, not soybeans and corn and all this other stuff, which, rapes the soil. And we weren't spraying chemicals. I had to shovel a lot of shit in my life. So literally cleaning, I had an old 1955 Farmall tractor with an old shit spreader, and I'm out there spreading the manure in the field at 14. And I could think back and just laugh about it now, but I'm like, okay, feeding the animals, in a good way, feeding the soil in a good way, growing things that the animals should be eating from a nutritional standpoint, and getting a better yield from those said animals. It was pretty simple. I mean, I had the best eggs ever. I was selling eggs on the side of the road. That was my first business at 15. And nowadays that's all like cool. A little bit, depending on the regions you're in, right? Like you said, some people are getting it, right?
Oh, some people are getting it, but there are people who are not getting it, and it's excruciating because, I used to get really bothered by it. I used to get really fired up about it, especially as a parent watching my kids just out there in the world. Well, parents are feeding their kids like Gatorade and Goldfish crackers. And it still happens. It's everywhere. It's all the time, in the classroom environment, in the sports environment, all over, anywhere you go.
Gatorade is not what it was when it was invented.
No, but now there's no emotionality for me in that. I kind of look at it like it's natural selection. Like you either get it at this point or you don't. But I don't.
If it makes you feel good, I'm a straight shooter. I hide nothing. That's my parents. Like I've given up. I shouldn't say give. I never give up, but we haven't had a farm in years. And my family, everybody in my family does not look like me anymore. They're all obese. My dad's type 2 diabetic, right? He almost lost his leg twice in the past 4 years, right? In and out of the hospital. And it's like, oh my guys, you're only 75. Yeah. That's young. Oh, some people call that old. I don't. I mean, my in-laws, they're 78. They're out walking the dogs in the park all the time. They go skiing with us in Colorado. They have a house out in Edwards, Colorado, where we crash at. And it's like, there's a difference between a healthy, active lifestyle. And again, they're doing things that I wouldn't do, but they're active and they're healthy enough to be active. And they're technically older than my parents. So I'm not here to bash my own parents, maybe a little. I love them, but I was like, guys, you have the health nut son. I've interviewed countless people. Granted, I'm a citizen scientist, I think they're calling us nowadays.
Oh, okay. I
You
didn't know
know,
that.
oh, that's a new thing, yeah. And or depending on the scientist or expert I talk to, they're like, yeah, you're doing the N1 thing. Just use yourself as an N1 experiment. So now I'm
Hmm.
speaking in science language, and if anyone wants to say like, yeah, I do an N1 protocol. People are like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I will test it, and you can see the results. And if you don't want to do it, then you don't want to do it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't have a
Yep.
business in it like you are. And then I'm like, well, you want to? I don't have time anymore to even talk to about it anymore. I'm like, you know what? Here's all the experts that I've talked to.
Hmm.
Go follow their at tags on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever, or here's their websites, or just go back
Yeah.
and listen to that podcast because I have over 450, approaching 500 shows this year. It's like, I don't have to say it anymore. I'm like, just go listen. That's all
I
I
know.
did.
That's right. That's where I'm at. I mean, I don't have as many podcast episodes as you do, but it is a matter of just like the information's available.
Yeah.
It's right there. And hell, I've had the conversations like just recently, I have been kind of wading into warfare with Missoula County Parks and Rec because they keep spraying glyphosate all over turf.
No.
Oh yeah.
In the
And so
parks? Oh, no.
yeah.
No,
Oh,
no, no,
yeah.
no.
And you know how federal budgets work. It's like, okay, hey, we've got funding for this chemical. And if we decide to take that chemical away, we lose that funding. So there's no like replacement funding. It's not like you can just go, oh, well, we're going to spend that money on biologics.
Trace
We're
the
going to,
money. Oh, we're going to lose that money. Why? Because it's
yeah. So
probably
then they
being
just are kind of
sponsored or,
like,
yeah.
they keep going with this, justification of safe and effective. And I'm like, people are innovating all around you. We
Hmm.
understand very clearly the health ramifications of these products in our environment. And you guys are gonna, I mean, I just did an email exchange with a lot of people, city council members, a lot of people in decision-making positions in Missoula after I had done an interview with a person who is running a giant golf course in Canada, and he's got turf that's like a quarter inch long,
Mhm.
but he's running it all on biologics through biodynamic and regenerative practices. And I'm like, listen, if he can do this on turf that's a quarter inch long, you guys can clearly figure this out anywhere.
That's actually really impressive. I mean,
It is impressive, but it's
I can't get into
happening.
golf. I own the clubs and I do a couple charity events a year, but I'd rather be mountain biking.
Yeah,
But
I
how do you
like
do that?
golf is totally boring to me, but it's just an example.
Yeah, yeah.
Exhibit A, this is happening. Exhibit, you can do this. If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. And then
Interesting.
some guy who I don't remember what his title was, but he replied back to me. Like I sent this episode out to all of them with, enough information about like why we don't need to do this anymore. And he was like, "Why don't you come out and see what we'll give you a demonstration?" And I was just like, I'm like, can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, I already said shit and
Okay.
everything else. Yeah.
All right. I
We have
wasn't,
no
yeah.
filters
See,
here. Yeah,
I
yeah.
swear so much I don't even hear swear words
Well,
anymore. But
when I got
I
done,
was just
when I got
like,
done firefighting, I sounded like my mom's like, "Were you on a naval ship?" I was like,
yeah, I
basically,
mean,
yeah.
I'm
So
like, what the fuck do you think? Did you listen to the episode? And then why don't you listen to the episode and then you tell me if I'm a good candidate to come out and listen to you tell me how this works? Because I'm
wow.
not, oh, you froze for a second.
Yeah, you froze a little bit.
Okay.
You're fine. You look fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I've noticed, I mean, I'm also going to put my tinfoil helmet on for a second. What I've noticed in podcast interviews that I've conducted. So I did an interview with Stephanie Seneff.
Oh,
I don't know if you know who she is.
I have heard that name.
Yeah, she wrote the book Toxic Legacy. It's a great book. I think her work is fundamental for understanding how we got to where we are and where we need to go.
What's her book?
Uh, it's called Toxic Legacy, and
Toxic Legacy.
it's a book on glyphosate.
Yeah, I like to plug anytime we do name drops. Like I
Yeah,
put this in the show notes because
great.
it's so important. So
It's such an important read. And she's a biochemist from MIT. She's one of their lead research scientists. They keep her on staff. She's absolutely brilliant. But anytime I bring up topics that are supported by large global I mean, just multinational industries
yeah.
or just the global level economic forum, I find that my internet connection gets unstable.
I mean,
And
it is interesting, isn't it?
it's real bizarre. Really
Here's the funny thing.
bizarre.
It's funny you're bringing this up because literally, I don't know why it's in my phone. I must have just gotten bored a week or so ago, and because we love our dog, and my
Yeah.
wife is very frustrated with the deer eating
Hmm.
this one plant in the flower beds that comes back every year. I blank
Hmm.
on the name. It's got giant leaves, and it's like crack cocaine to them. So they just love it. So then we try and she tries to spray something to keep them. I'm like, just don't put poison on it because we have a
Yeah.
dog and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'll see if I can get on the camera there, but natural
Natural.
herbicide,
Uh-huh.
1 gallon
Uh-huh.
of white
Uh-huh.
vinegar, 2 cups Epsom salt, 1/4 cup biodegradable dish soap.
Yeah.
I was like, that seems really simplistic. I don't know how effective it is. Now, granted, it doesn't sound like you can make a lot of money off of it. So that's probably why, you know, it's not
Yeah.
that common. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. Anyways, so yeah, I just I don't know where I got cut off or what got left out of that last bit,
No,
but
your audio was still coming through.
oh,
So,
okay. All
yeah.
right. Then enough said. Statements made.
Yeah. But you are true. It is kind of weird. I mean, whether it's a foil hat or not, I'm like, that is interesting because I have very expensive hardware here and I have a decent internet connection because I pay extra for better internet to make sure we don't
Oh,
have those hiccups.
yeah.
So it makes me think it is on your end and
It probably is.
interesting
And
timing.
it's
So,
strange timing. Yeah.
yes. But yeah, it is frustrating. And I love the fact that you've taken a stance on it because it's not like we're trying to be activists. It's just, we're just trying to make
No,
sure the
it's just,
truth is out there. That's all.
and it's kind of just, to me at this point, I'm like, duh. Like
Yeah.
everything. I mean, seriously, come on, you guys. Seriously. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like
Yeah.
nutrition too. Like everybody started
Yeah.
freaking. I don't like to go political, but
I know.
whatever. You don't like the
I know.
MAHA acronym or whatever.
Yeah.
RFK is a lawyer. He's not a scientist, dude. Just whatever. He's like, hey,
Mhm.
the kids aren't bipartisan. Take toxic dyes out of the food.
I
Like if
know.
you eat a steak, there's no dye in that. Well, there shouldn't be.
Right.
That's why
Right.
I source locally, and it's a
Mhm.
100-year-old farmstead, and my God, last year she used a red Angus bull. The meat looked more red. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe that was just me, but it looks so good. I was
I
like, what?
know.
Like in frozen I'm like, why is this so red? And she's like, it
Yeah.
always is red. I'm like, no, that looks more red. I've been getting beef from her like for 4 years straight. So actually I'm coming, I think middle of June, my new steer's coming due. So
Yeah, I
uh
think that's the interesting thing is that so your eyes picked up on that. Your senses, you had senses that
yeah,
picked up
it
on,
always
oh,
tastes
that
good.
looks,
So yeah.
yeah. And I think that's the thing is when people are buying crapola from
Mhm.
Costco and they don't really actually know. Like when you don't have the experience of knowing what real nutrient dense food looks and feels like, you just,
Yeah.
your senses are completely turned off.
I've
And
known that
so,
just from eggs. I mean, I've been an egg nut my
yes,
whole life because
yeah,
I used to raise the chickens, and
yes.
then when the season ends, we butchered them, processed them, put them in our giant, like I call them the mobster dead body freezers, in our garage, and then we always had like my mom would can vegetables from the garden, we would
Hmm.
freeze everything. We always had stock, it would be beef, pork, chicken, obviously the vegetables and stuff from the garden. We had a 1/4 acre garden growing up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the only thing we ever put on that was the manure from our different
Hmm.
animals we had on the farm. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, it's not rocket science.
it's
So,
not. And
yeah.
I actually just this winter got chicks
Oh,
from a local gal over, she's in Laurel, so not super local to me. It's like a 5 hour drive, but um just a little family farm raising chicks. And I had to kill the roosters. Well, we gave one
yeah, the
away.
roosters get crazy. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
and we live in city limits, so we can't have them. So we gave one away. And then I like had just woken up and my husband is out in the backyard and he's like trying to capture a rooster. And I was like, I'm not gonna fucking capture
That's
a
in
rooster.
movies. That's in movies. It's legit. Like they don't fake that in movies. Good luck trying to catch a rooster. It's like a game. I
So I
mean,
didn't.
yeah,
So I grabbed a huge stick and I hit it and I killed it. So I
it's
was just
okay.
like, I haven't even had coffee yet, bro.
Yeah,
Like
but
I'm
did you at
just
least butcher it and use the meat?
I composted it. I
Oh,
don't have
okay.
time to butcher a fucking chicken. Okay. I
Come
had
on,
clients.
girl. I mean,
No, I know. I had
well, I mean,
clients like in an
we
hour.
had a
I mean,
we had a serious operation. We had like the boiling vessel thing, and then we had this like tumbler with these big rubber knobs on it. And you
yes,
once you boil the
yes.
chicken, it takes
Yep.
the feathers off. So
Yep.
it really because like yeah, plucking those feathers is really a pain in the
It's a
butt. So
pain in the raisins.
FYI, if you're a
Yes.
vegan listening to my show, which I really highly doubt, you're not going to
I
enjoy
doubt.
that. But
I
um,
know. Yeah. Yeah. But we just, so the point is now, so we've got three laying hens and then we've got seven other chicks that are going to be laying in, I think, July or
so
August.
exciting. Yeah.
It's so awesome. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, we've always bought good eggs and stuff like that, but I don't have to do anything.
Let's pause on the eggs. Let's pause here.
Okay. Okay. Let's pause on the eggs.
I love this fight. Well, there's pasture raised, there's cage free, there's organic. What's your vote?
Well, what's my vote? My vote is don't read a label and know your farmer.
There you go. So okay, so let's say you can't get social. Like again, I remember the fire life, right? Firefighting, traveling all
Oh
the
my
time.
gosh. Yeah.
So like you can't guarantee like we do I think we call them store stops. Yeah, when you're on your way into a big fire,
Yep.
it's your
Yep.
chance to get any last minute things you want. And usually
hmm
it's like it was always a Walmart, and I am not a fan of
Oh,
Walmart.
dang. Yeah.
I can't stand it. I to this day I'll never go to one. I have
Yeah.
never gone into a Walmart since. Um,
hmm
I just like supporting local small businesses. That's just where I'm at.
Yep.
But anyway, uh, the quality, mass production, et cetera, is not there.
hmm
From my research and my people experts I've talked to over the years since I launched a show and went live in 16. So it's been, wow, we've been at this for a while. We're approaching 10 years next year. So
Congrats.
yeah, organic is a paid badge because they actually have organic chemicals and organic pesticides. Since we just got done talking about pesticides, it's like, oh, okay, well, if that one passes the organic test, we can put an organic badge on that. I'm like, that doesn't mean there's no chemicals in that. I've done the research. I mean, it's
hmm
still a little bit better, but
Yeah.
there's yeah. So then that's why I'm like, guys, cage free just means you're still in a building and it's still technically penned up, but they're not in tiny cages. Okay. So I always tell people if you got to go to a big store,
hmm
yes, raised is real. They're actually out scratching in the dirt, looking for little bugs and worms and everything else, and doing what they naturally supposed to do. Even better if you could find a local farmer who's doing the rotating thing where they get to move around and stuff like
hmm
that. But anyways, that's just a quick thing I wanted to hit on quick is like,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
completely. And I mean, that is an important point when you're in fire and you've got those store stops
yeah.
that may be in a Walmart or they may be in some rural Montana, Idaho, Nevada, California environment where there's just, you're subjected to whatever's available.
Yeah.
Eggs are always going to be more nutrient dense than Hot Pocket or
It's Mother
whatever.
Nature's superfood. I mean, yeah,
Right. So don't worry too much about it there.
true.
Do the best you can, but yeah,
Oh
those
yeah, I mean,
labels,
fire camp eggs, who knows? That's all government
that's not
funded.
even eggs, it's powdered
See, I
something. I
didn't
don't know
know that.
what.
See, in
What?
2010, I didn't know that. And
What?
then I'm eating it and I'm like, why does it taste like shit? And
Oh.
and then no one said anything. And then I find out because
Oh.
it's super cool. You see these when you're a rookie, you're like, oh dude, look
hmm
at this, especially a big fire, right? You got like the 18 wheelers rolling in and they transform into these mobile cafeterias, and you're just like, whoa, like I didn't know we could play at this level because
Yeah,
I've done multiple spike outs, right? So you're up there
sure.
just gnawing on an MRE in your pack and hoping that they
hmm
long line in something on a helicopter the
Right.
next day, and you get like some hot food in a 5 gallon bucket. I
In
put
a
this
in
in
a
the
plastic
book.
bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, what? You're eating out of a bucket? I'm like, oh yeah. Imagine pork chops and gravy on the side of a mountain that was dropped off in a cargo net from a helicopter from that said fire camp. Oh, and while they're at it, because they don't want to do another flight the next day, your eggs are in there for the next morning. So now you're
Yeah.
eating leftover powdered egg, scrambled eggs
hmm
out of a styrofoam
Right.
layer wrapped bucket that may hold on to that heat for a few hours, and then that's your chow the next morning to share with 4 other hotshot crews.
Right.
And this was actually that specific story was from the Horseshoe Fire 2010 in the Chiricahua Mountains because I served on that one, and then the next year we went back again for Horseshoe 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so those they call it that hotshot country. Those Chiricahua Mountains are legit, dude. Like, yeah, that'll bring
Where is that in region
like
3?
literally, I think it's on the border of Mexico. It's like
Oh, okay.
it's southern New Mexico, and it was it was legit. Like they couldn't wait for us
Yeah.
to hike up the first year, so they flew us up in old Hueys from Vietnam that had been repainted as
Yeah.
Forest Service helicopters, and you hear all
hmm
the metal clinking and ringing. And you're like,
Oh yeah, it's
I was
nice.
like, I really prefer hiking, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, and obviously,
Yeah.
Helitack cut open a little landing zone on the side of the mountain and dropped us off. And then, yeah, we were up there for all week long. And yeah,
hmm
that's how they were feeding us. And that was cool, But yeah, I mean, yeah, nutrition, man. But I didn't know it was powdered eggs. I was like,
Yeah.
dude,
Oh,
you couldn't just go find a local big, even a factory, even a big egg factory and just ship in a truckload of eggs and take care of these firefighters that are risking their lives day in and day out and give them peak nutrition for their food. I
food
don't know.
safety. They just food safety. And so then those are huge contracts that go to the lowest bidder and they can get around all kinds of logical things about bringing in actual good food by quoting food safety laws. And so they're
Ugh,
like, oh, we've got to make it shelf stable. Otherwise, people are going to die from food poisoning and
yeah.
what
Yes,
have
this
you. I mean,
is.
you're probably going to die from food poisoning anyways.
I was gonna say,
So,
first of all,
because it's disgusting.
it's called an immune system up to a certain point. Up to a certain point, I'll be real.
Yeah.
Right, salmonella is real. Okay,
Yeah. E.
but it's
coli is
like, okay,
real.
come on, guys.
Yeah.
We've been on a fire. We'll be on, well, potentially a big fire. You might be on there. You might time out. So you might be on there for 2 weeks straight, 16 hours a day, which we did many, many times. And yeah, you're not showering. You're not getting cleaned up. I mean, usually if you're a hotshot crew, you're not. We never did. We were all about, no tents, sleeping in the field. You go in for chow, you resupply, and you get the hell out of there. You don't want to, because our
Yes.
sleep was
Yes.
so important. You don't want to
Yep.
deal with
Yep.
generators and lights and all the
Yep.
pardon me, all the type two. No offense on type two, but like that's type two fun. We don't deal with that,
Yep. 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 Absolutely. No, we were, that was always kind of our jam too, is just to get in, get what you need and get out of there just
Yeah.
because
Which
it's
John
not,
crew were you
it's,
on?
yeah. Well, I spent a year on the Lolo hot shots and
Yeah,
then,
Lolo. Yeah.
I had to make some money. So I went to the Flathead because it was like the soups were great. And I told them I wanted to go jumping. They had like this career talk with each person on the crew.
Okay.
And they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to go be a smoke jumper. Duh. Like everybody wants to do that. And they were like,
It was on my list.
I
If
could
I would have
tell they were
stayed,
a
I would have
little
found a
bit,
way. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I could tell they weren't super happy with that answer because it's like, why would we invest time and money into you if you're just going to leave? And I was like, well, I'm going to leave anyways because I got to make money. Because at the time I was living in the back of my truck and we would
Yeah.
go to take days off and they'd be like, well, we're going to take ourselves off the board for like 4 days. And I was like, 4 days? Like,
No.
I'm going to go live down by the river for 4 days. And you guys are going to be fly fishing in your nice little houses and your partner's
See,
going to be making you a nice little dinner and whatever. And I'm all living in my truck. So I'm like, I'm out.
I was stuck in the middle. We were one of the last, so we were still called Pleasant Valley Hot Shots. That's my belt buckle.
Yes. Okay.
But
Okay.
now they're
Yeah.
called Mesa because
Okay.
for years when I was there, so we were in the middle of the Tonto National Forest in the bottom of this valley called Young. We nicknamed it the Youngle. I think there was like 100 residents. It was very,
Okay.
it's like, remember the old story of the McCoys? It's like the oldest family feud in the U.S. history, they claimed.
Oh yeah.
Apparently
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
false. Apparently that's there in Young, Arizona.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember the family names. Anyway, that's Pleasant Valley. So it's Pleasant Valley. Young is the town. We had one tiny shithole bar. There was no grocery store, nothing. You had to
Mm-hmm.
go. We had to drive up out of the valley, up the forest road, and drive to Payson.
Uh-huh.
You had
Yep.
over an hour drive just to go get groceries and stuff.
Yep.
And again,
Yep.
you're going to the Walmart and you're getting frozen pizzas and crap because, but luckily we had barracks. I'm quoting that because basically it was a
Yeah.
couple of big oversized double wides. And
Mhm.
so it's crew, basically we split the crew amongst two buildings. And then our soup had a camper, and then our other squad boss had like a camp trailer. And then the other squad, he lived in town with his girlfriend. So I don't know how it all worked out. But so yeah, we didn't have to worry about that. If we had days off, we could stay there, but you're in the bottom of the Youngle in the bottom of Pleasant Valley with nothing to do.
Mhm.
So if you had to
Mhm.
stay within callback, we went to Payson because it's 3 hours to Phoenix and we required on 2 hour callback. Unless you timed out, then you would earn true R&R like you're talking
Right.
about.
Where
And
you're
then,
free to go.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
my rookie year, I'd go down to visit my buddy in Scottsdale until I realized it's 115 degrees on my day off. And then I found Flag because it was 3 hours the other direction. And then I'd go hang in Flag, which was way better. So I call it like
Sure.
Little Colorado up there. I loved it up there. So
So where I started working for the Forest Service was in Region 4 outside of, I guess the closest place would be Sun Valley, Idaho. So there's
yeah,
Sun
I have
Valley,
friends live there.
Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's another little town just southwest of there called Fairfield. And I was at a guard station that was just right in the middle of those two places. And I lived in a house by myself because I was the only female. So bummer. And
Yeah.
then and then it was awesome because there was a gravity fed water system, it was all propane, it was off grid. And then 3 mile hike up the creek, there was this amazing hot springs. And so
Oh,
I
come
didn't go,
on. You
no,
got to
I'm
go.
serious.
You had your own local hot spring?
Yes.
Oh,
And I didn't go back into town for shit unless I went into like Ketchum to get some groceries or something like that.
yeah.
But I did not venture out to so I basically got to spend an entire summer just in the woods.
I love
Like,
it.
and so that was like my first experience working for the Forest Service. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
I love
So,
it.
and I was 18 years old. I was like a puppy. So,
Yeah.
it was super fun and it was a great experience. And then I went down to some fires down in the basin and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was on Type 2 crews and then I had volunteered to be a fill-in on the Sawtooth Hotshots, which I don't know if you ever worked with them. I don't know if they've changed much, but they were pretty dang hardcore. And I had never
Yeah.
even
I
been
remember they had
on
a strong reputation. I mean, yeah.
yeah, I'd never even been on a fire where we hiked. I mean, it was just like,
Oh,
there was, so the only physical fitness I was gaining was just the stuff I was doing on my own by myself, which I did, but I was still young. And so I get on as a fill-in on this crew and then we went to the Salmon River breaks where we were going down to the valley bottom, up to the ridge tops, which is a 3,000-foot climb. We would
nice.
do that twice a day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh,
I
our one squad
basically just
boss,
about died. Yeah.
my saw boss, he was big into CrossFit back then. CrossFit was really started kicking into gear.
Mhm.
So when I showed up my rookie year, he's like, "All right, guys, we got 2-a-days for the next 2 weeks for critical training." And I'm like, "What's a 2-a-day?" And like I'd been going to the gym, I'd been doing pack trainings. I
Yeah.
crushed I mean, I was the older guy on the crew, but I always made sure I finished in the top 3 on the pack test. I mean,
Yep.
but
Yep. And that's
I'm very
why,
competitive, but
yeah. And that's why I loved fire. I mean, first of all, so that experience as a fill-in on that crew basically like was a big fat
yeah,
slap
that's
in the
like
face of like, hey, like this
it's
is
legit.
actually where you need to be. Like, and where you are right now is not that. So
Yeah.
then it became this big thing for me. I was like, I want to do that. So this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to do. And so I eventually ended up on the Lola Hotshots, and they weren't like super hardcore like that. And I didn't find that to be like very fulfilling for me. I like, really wanted that. So then going up to the
You got part of
Flathead.
that little crazy gene, I like to call it. Like it's like, it's like I need a little bit more, a little bit more. Just like
Well, yeah, I don't know. And so anyways, that winter I actually lived in Steamboat. Yeah, I lived in Steamboat Springs. I'm like, did I live in Glenwood Springs? Because there was a winter I lived in Glenwood Springs and then lived in Steamboat Springs and was a
Steamboat's
ski.
better.
It's way better.
What's
It's
the hot
really,
springs called there? Oh God, I've been there many times.
oh, I don't know. I don't know
So-
that I ever went there.
oh my, are you kidding me? Did you come in from
Yeah.
the north or did you come in from
Wait,
the
well,
south?
Glenwood Springs.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
mean, they
no,
have a hot
no.
springs there.
No,
What?
no, Steamboat.
I never,
No, it's all hand built boulders and rock, and it's
no, I
oh
never
yeah.
went there. That's sad. That makes me sad.
I'm
It makes me
sorry.
furious, actually.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
not
my
okay.
God, I'm so sorry. I felt bad.
Yeah. And so I was a ski instructor there and I was like, I can't go back to the Lolo. And so then I got a job on the Flathead and I met people there that were like all about the physical fitness. And one of them was like, God, he was in his late 40s. Jerry Sumalainen.
Okay.
Jerry, if you're out there, just know that you're my hero.
I love it.
And he actually went on to go jump after I did. So he was like in his 50s going up to AK to go jump. And he was just like,
Wait,
so
he went
tough.
to AK to jump? That's
Yes.
respect. That's respect.
He was so tough. And but anyway, so that's where I got this idea that I was like, oh, there was an ultra marathon that was held right in the place where we were working. And it was at the end of the season. And I was like, well, broken up with my boyfriend. I was like, well, I don't have anything to really like go back to. So I'm
Yeah.
like, might as well just go run this ultra marathon. And Jerry was like, are you training at all? And I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, fighting fire, I guess,
Yeah.
because we were hiking up and down the hill and doing all the things hotshots do. And
Yep.
he was like, that's not enough. And so he's like, I'll meet you in front of the barracks at 5 a.m. every morning for the rest of the season. So that's what we
That's a great
did.
mentor. Yeah.
He was awesome. He
Well,
didn't really, we
that
didn't,
was me. Like we had days off, and there's only one or two other
yeah.
guys that wanted to go do crazy things. Like we had a few former cons, like ex cons on the crew too.
Yeah.
Like the one guy was older than me, which was a rarity on the crew. But he came in the second year, and anyway, it was a nice dude. I'm like, you ever go skydiving? Because I do it for fun. And people are like, why would you jump out of a plane for fun? I'm like, because it's fun. And so
Yeah.
I already had like 6 jumps under my belt
Yeah.
showing up to do that. And nobody wanted to go join me. And one of the biggest jump zones in the country is south of Phoenix. So
Yeah.
on days off, I took him down there and popped his cherry for skydiving. And then we get back. And
Wow.
actually, I found out my one squad boss, he's no longer married to her, a high rate of divorce in that profession.
Uh-huh.
But uh, this was my nickname.
Mulvaney.
Yeah, Mulvaney is my last name.
Yeah.
Adventure. Every time I come back from my day off, people are like, "What was the latest Mulventure?" And it
Yeah.
became a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
joke. So,
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
but actually, here, check this out. I went out for our 50th anniversary last year, and
Oh,
I
cool.
got the original retro logo
Oh, that's
patch.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, hey, did you ever work with a guy named Pete Lannon?
Why do I know that name? Not on our crew.
He was on Pleasant Valley,
It might have been
but
before me then.
he might have
Yeah.
been before you. Yeah, he was probably before you because he came he was jumping in 2006, but he was a squatty on the crew, maybe even the assistant, I don't know. Anyways, he's a good friend of mine. So,
Yeah.
I know
I
he
love
was
it.
on that crew and I never knew him then. I knew him later.
And
He
where's he
married
live
one of my
now?
best friends. He lives in the Paradise Valley in Montana.
Okay. Yeah.
He and his wife run a
Well,
really
tell you what,
amazing.
all hot shots are welcome on this show. So if he ever wanted to geek out
Yeah,
and
he just retired. So he's just
I'm sure
retiring
he's
now.
got great knowledge to share.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
And some opinions I want to hear from him because
Oh, our world or your world, really, it's really more your world. I said this in the book too. Like I only did this for 2 years. But some of my old squad bosses say, he's like, don't ever diminish that, dude. You've just did something. You chose to go do something that less than like 1% of the world's population even understands, even
yeah.
knows about, and let alone says yes to go do it. I was like, well, thank you. And that's why I keep trying to honor that's why we're talking today and connecting. It's just like,
hmm
you can't, I had a Olympus made a waterproof, so almost indestructible camera back then, 35 millimeter digital. That thing was carabinered on my pack all the time. And I mean, now obviously compared to the quality on our iPhones, it's like, yeah, it's nothing. But I have so much content from back then. It was, I think people like,
That's
I would
cool.
disappear. Facebook was getting big back then. So I would just show up and I would get on the internet at a coffee shop and just do a massive upload and then disappear
Uh-huh.
for like another month. And people are like,
Uh-huh.
what are you doing? And I'm like, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I'm figuring it out as
A
I
little
go.
busy right now. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, one thing I think that's lacking, because I do want to stay on, I don't script the show, but for your benefit, is what you chose to do. The
hmm
wellness side, the health, the nutrition. It's like
Yeah.
there was no guidance there.
hmm
Actually, I'm going to screen share your site while you're white. I mean, because you're doing something that we needed back then. And it drove me
Yeah. And
nuts because
I
nobody
wasn't
had guidance. So here we go.
right.
Sustainablewellness.net.
Yeah, I wasn't it was kind of a different conversation back then because it was something that I would talk about and I did do some pursuing of trying to help elevate and incite the conversation. But there was a lot of pushback because there are a lot of people who felt like health and wellness was kind of an effeminate sort of thing. It was like, um,
It's still that way for many people. It's
it
ridiculous.
is,
Yeah.
but I have to say, obviously COVID has changed a lot of things, but then there's like literal physical things that have changed with the human microbiome since COVID that have been like a crushing blow to people's health.
Yeah.
So sometimes people show up to my doorstep and they're like, I want to crush it this next year because I did rookie training for the Missoula smoke jumpers for 4 years. And so I
Oh, wow.
saw
I
maybe
love that.
longer. I really don't remember. It was at least 4 years. It might have been longer, but the point is I saw people show up. I learned a lot of things about what created what created conditions for someone to be successful in and what wasn't. And so we did a lot of talking to rookies about what is your physical fitness level, but we never talked to them about their nutrition. But I literally I've been doing this for 8 years and I haven't seen the level of breakdown in the human body as much as I have in the last probably 3 to 5 years.
I would agree with that. It
Yeah.
gets me thinking when I was bringing you on today. I'm like, I wonder how much has changed because I didn't realize what year you left, and which it turns out the
Hmm.
same year I left. And again, thanks to social media, back then I was the only guy on social media on the crew. Now all the
Hmm.
crews, almost every hotshot crew has an Instagram.
Totally.
And so I'm following all of them, especially with my charity and me trying to buy boots for the firefighters and stuff. And
Hmm.
it's like I got to stay plugged in wherever I can. But yeah, let's be real.
Hmm.
Relationship issues are psychological stress. The job already has a ton of cortisol just day in and day out, right?
Hmm.
Issues. And then we go and add in relationship issues, psychological issues. Then you're not feeling your body right issues. How's your rest and recovery? When you take an R&R, most guys are going, or girls, are going to go party. And like it took me really, I never did massage. Actually, I got into massages my second year because I was like, I
Uh-huh.
knew enough because I was older. I was already doing some of my own research. I'm like, you know what? I am going to go get a quick deep tissue. I am hooked on that to this day.
Yeah.
Chiropractic every single month at least once minimum. Deep tissue, 90-minute massage, no less. I don't do 60s. And I want to make sure that she borderline makes me cry. I'm like, I want you to just get in there and break it all up. And every time I come back, I got more products for her. And she's like, do you still firefight? I'm like, no, I just beat the crap out of myself all the time. I was like, I'm
I
still
gotta
hooked.
get better. I gotta get better at the massage thing. I gotta say, I'm just kind of sucking at, but I know how beneficial it is. I just don't do
But
it.
what you just said, it was like it's either woo woo or it's feminine. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
like yesterday on Sunday, I have like 3 acres. So nobody took care of these woods. Not that you should have
Hmm.
to take care of the woods per se, but like I'm a little OCD. I built my own trail, and anyway, so I'm like I'm getting ready to bring in a chipper because like we used to do road prep as hot shots, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring through and clean this all up, chip it all. And my neighbor next to me, he's like, yeah, let's take down all the dead stuff. He's like, I just got a quote for 30 grand. I got a guy. I'm like,
Oh my
what quote?
gosh.
I was like, whoa. I got 3 chainsaws. I've rented a chipper twice a year, every year since we've been here, just cleaning it all up. And he's like, yeah, I don't have your whatever you have. And he goes, I got 10 acres to clean up because he wants to reforest it. We had a lot of beetle kill come in and kill stuff. And he says it looks like crap. So the point is, working hard hasn't left me. It's
Hmm.
just the only thing difference is now that I'm turning 48 this year is
Hmm.
I now know more about longevity and I feel my body right. And the rest and recovery is crucial. Like
Hmm.
rookie year, I always had to go to Ireland because Scott William Mulvaney. I mean, it's pretty Irish by bloodline.
Hmm.
So I wanted to go backpack it. And people are like on the crew, they're like, you've been hiking for 6 months straight and you want to go hike some more? And I was like, yeah, but it's different. You know, I'm going
Hmm.
around Ireland, going to grab a pint of Guinness, you know, whatever back then. And that's when I found something as simple as pedicure because your feet get so jacked up. Like I had the best I think it's called the Hot Shot Series boot from Nick's Boots back then. I still have them. I had them all rebuilt. And those things beat the snot out of your feet. There's no cushion, there's no padding, you know. I mean, it's solid leather rubbing against. I mean, hopefully you have a good pair of socks, but you get the white bites and the calluses and everything else. And but guys,
Hmm.
it's all about healing and recovering and then you come back even better. Like when I
Yeah.
came back my snooky year, I took everything I learned from the rookie year and like, how do I amp it up? How do I come back
Hmm.
even better? And maybe that's just me being competitively wired, but maybe that's also me being the health nut back then. I'm way more now than I ever was, but it's like, you should be building on it. I mean, I'm guessing this is probably what you talk about too. Sometimes you guys get people to the conversation, but then eventually now it's like, how do we build on that and make it fun and make it, because like you said earlier in the show about diet. Diet to me is a bad 4-letter word because since I dual majored in psychology, to me, it symbolizes short-term mindset. I believe in lifestyle, long-term mindset. What is realistic? What is attainable? What is sustainable? What can you do that N1 experiment over time with? Whereas the diet, crash, burn, it's just not going to work, right?
Yeah.
Are you feeling my vibe on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, my orientation, for me personally, when I was fighting fire, not really thinking about what I was going to do next, if I was going to be a nutritionist or a mom or any of those things, it was just more of like, how do I continue to do this job? Because if you get taken out by a joint injury, if you get taken out by a bad back, if you get taken out by, I mean, those
ACL
were kind
tear
of
skiing. I mean,
some, yeah, or an ACL tear just hiking. I mean, I know that's happened to people.
my wife tore her ACL chiropractically adjusting a horse, and it wasn't even the horse's fault. She
Oh,
lost her balance and she tore her own ACL falling off the bale she was standing on.
ah, shit. Yeah, I mean, so you can't be, yeah, you have
And
to be
she's a veterinary
really
doctor. She was worried about
right.
being able to do her job. So
Exactly. And so that for me was like, how do I keep coming back to this job for as long as I want to and feel good doing it? I mean, I had no interest in um doing like fighting fire beyond where my body felt healthy. Like I wanted to be able to get out in time so that I could do whatever I wanted to do. That was the thing, is I never wanted limitations put on me because of X, Y, or Z. I was just like, I've always been that way. I have to be free. Leave me, let me do my thing. If you guys, whatever gets in my way, I am going to figure out a way over the top or around it because I am not interested in being injured. I'm not interested in being told you can't do this or that. And so
I think
nutrition
that's
for
some of that
me,
hot shot mindset and smoke jumper mindset is we're wired differently. Um,
I'm finding that to
and you're
be very
channeling it
true.
and you're channeling it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm finding that to be very true in the general population. And I just keep thinking like lately, I'm like, where are the people that I want to be in alignment with right now? Like people who can do stuff,
Yeah.
not just like, because like, what am I doing right now? I'm doing nutrition stuff. I'm trying to like do community stuff and I'm trying to like figure out like, well, how do we get this done? And so far, the people I keep coming in contact with who are doing something similar, quote unquote, are just like, well, we're going to write letters to Congress. I'm like, I'm not writing a fucking letter to Congress. Like, no, I'm not
It is
wasting my
true. You're
time or my
supposed to
energy.
work. You're supposed to work locally because that's where your most bang for your buck can happen. But I'm like you. I'm like I'm too busy trying to actually make real change happen.
Do the things, like do
Yeah.
stuff. Don't just talk about it or organize around it or make a graph or a chart around it.
Yeah.
There are problems in front of every one of us. And when, when you're smoke jumping or when you're on a hotshot crew, you show up to a fire and you're like, okay, this is what needs to happen. And everybody gets on board and we all go to work and do the things collectively. In the environment that I'm in, the peers that I'm around, they're not like that. They're like, somebody needs to fix this. And I'm like, who's that going to be if it's not you or me? Like,
It's frustrating because I'm vibing with you right now. I'm guessing I'm older than you. Not that age matters. But
I am going to be 46 in a month.
okay, so right there.
Yeah.
So good, then we're close. So it doesn't matter then, because my wife is 5 years younger and she calls me old man. I'm like, all right, love you too. I do have a lot of salt and pepper that kicked in thanks to the career choice. Because it literally kicked in like
Really interesting.
oh yeah, because cortisol.
Well, there's a genetic variation that people have when under stress, they will produce gray hair.
I guarantee I probably have that
You have
because
it.
I had a full genetic analysis done with
Really cool.
Dr. Anthony J. I had him on the show years ago before it became
Oh my God,
viral.
I love Anthony J.
Oh, Esther Generation. He's been on many times.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. He and I
Awesome.
go
I'll have
way
to
back.
listen to that.
So when he
Yeah.
was getting his coaching thing going with the genetic stuff, and I read his Estro Generation, I had him on. I'm like, hey, now back then I wouldn't recommend anymore because they got sold to China. But 23andMe, he goes, dude, go on and
Yes.
buy the cheap test. Do not pay for any of their advanced upgrades.
Yeah.
He's like, when you log into your account when it's done, You can export the raw data file. That's the stuff that I can read, like all the genetic stuff. He goes,
Hmm.
send me that. Send me your blood work. I was like,
Perfect.
all right, how
Yeah.
about I was like, I'll give you that. He's like, yeah, and then I'll spit you out a Word document. No, 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 no. I was like, you got to come back on the show. And then I want you to, and I to go through everything together.
Oh, cool.
He's like, yeah, but that's kind of private. I'm like, I have nothing to hide. Let's
Hmm.
go. Let's figure it
Hmm.
out.
Hmm.
So I know the genetic stuff works because he said I had a rare marker showing that I can metabolize caffeine twice as fast as most people.
I did. So I did 23andMe.
Boom.
Same, 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 same.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I
Oh
knew
yeah.
it.
Literally out of everything out of that. I mean, obviously I didn't have to worry about the GTFR thing and but that was all fine. But I was like, that was one of the that was one of the coolest things I got out of the test. I was like, that's why I like coffee. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
So,
Ben Lynch is the doctor
oh yeah,
that
Ben's great. Yeah,
that
I
I
need to
was
get him on the
referring
show.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should. He's so smart, and he's the one that wrote the book Dirty Genes, where I
Yes.
learned about that genetic variation with gray hair.
Yeah.
So
Well,
do
because
you,
we all
what did
have
you,
the genes, but then what triggers it to manifest, right? I don't know.
sure.
Right.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I have a double copy of an MTHFR mutation. And so I think the natural inclination for trying to figure out how to improve my health just came from a need I perceived in my own self. And so the environmental toxins that fire, I mean, I say this pretty regularly, that fire is not a health neutral profession. Like
It's one
you
of the
are
reasons
going
why
to,
I stopped doing it because
yeah.
I knew too much and I
I
was,
didn't know anything. I
yeah.
mean, I didn't know anything. And then I started to feel like, oh, things could be better. I'm not really sure. And I don't know. Before I did fire, I worked for a woman who was a physician. She quit her medical practice to open up a business. She opened up a restaurant that was all about using nutrition to support people with chronic health conditions. So
That's huge.
cancer.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. So this is about like in the early, or not early, but late 90s when Institute for Functional Medicine was just starting. And so we were really lucky because we got to work there and we got to have people come in and talk to us about inflammation, which at the time was as evolved as a conversation could possibly be.
Yeah.
And now it's evolving
Oh, in the
further.
90s? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, right. So
Like
Jeffrey
literally, I
Bland was,
reference firefighting and inflammation in our bodies because it's like, hey, people are just trying to put the fire out, right? Or I said, or you
yeah.
got to find a way to mitigate it, or
Hmm.
manage it, et cetera.
Hmm.
Instead of like again, the problem with our society today, especially in this country, is we're literally using fire to fight fire, and we don't even know. Like, no, no, no.
Oh
Yeah, you're
man.
setting your own body on fire with that crap. Like, I was like, in firefighting, yes, we use fire to fight fire. Now, in many wildfires, right? Laying fire on the ground, you're going to try and burn it off. But like,
Yeah.
it doesn't work in the same way in the human world. Stop putting that crap in your body because you're literally triggering inflammation and setting it on fire.
Yeah, it is not a battle you are going to win.
No,
It's not a strategy.
no.
Yeah,
That was why.
completely.
That's why
And
I quit beer years ago. Once I
yeah.
did all the research and interviewed
Hmm.
enough experts out there, like my buddy Vinny Tortorich. He owns the trademark "No Sugar, No Grains" viral guy.
Hmm. Hmm.
He's one of the godfathers before keto became viral.
Hmm.
And I helped him put out multiple documentary films, Fat Documentary One, Fat Documentary Two, a bunch of others, and it's like all around, ketogenic health and removing inflammation in the
Yep.
body, and
Yep.
no sugar, no grains, very inflammatory. So I was like, he's like, yeah, Sky. He's like, beer is basically liquid grains, liquid inflammation. I'm like, all right, check, done. I removed it.
Liquid glyphosate. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I know, and the impact it has on the male estrogen metabolism. It's not
Well, that
favorable
too.
for being very manly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's funny that guys love to drink beer, and yet it's like, hey, dude, that
And then
might be the
then
reason
you
why you
got
have man boobs.
you got gut, man boobs, right? Yeah, exactly. It's
It's
like,
not hot.
yeah. Now, granted, if I go to Germany, I'll probably have a German beer and try
Yes,
it because they
yes,
don't have
yes.
glyphosate over there.
That's right.
I'll give it a
Yeah,
shot.
yeah. No,
Um,
I'm with you. I stopped drinking beer, sadly, because I love beer.
oh, dude, all the mountain biking I was doing in Colorado, every race, the finish line's got pop-up tents from
I
every
know,
local
and
brewery.
it's not crappy beer. It's good
Oh, it's really good.
beer,
Yeah.
but for me, it doesn't work. It does
But I
not work.
started feeling softer, and I'm like,
Yes,
what's going on?
yes,
Like, and
yes.
I'm getting older, right? I'm like, oh, I'm not are the hormones changing? What's happening? What's the trigger? And I cut that out, and it's
Oh
easy.
man, I know. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I mean, if you really look around at the general population, and I do more often now than I probably ever
Airports are
have.
really hard on me. Yeah.
Well, my daughter and I were just traveling back from Sun Valley yesterday, and we love to go to this hot springs. It's off the side of the road, and we stop, we look over the edge because it's like a one, like you do not share that hot springs with other people.
Okay.
And it's just full of people that look like donut holes. And I was like, God damn it. Like such a
And it
pisser
sucks because I almost went your route. And I know we got to bring the show to a close with respect to your time, but
well, actually, I'm good for a little bit longer. I just received a text message that it's clear.
But it's like, I'm passionate about that too. And I literally was going the health coaching route. I was over the years, which is why I stopped doing the fire thing. Cause I just I knew, I'm like, dude, I'm beating the snot out of myself with cortisol. Like after that rookie year, going to hike Wildland, I didn't want to go to the gym for like 2 months. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I don't want to go lift weights. I wasn't like, my switch hadn't flipped yet. And that's when I learned about accumulated exhaustion, accumulated cortisol, right? Your body and your mind just needs time to heal. And nowadays, there's all kinds of, and then I became a biohacker over the years, right? Learned all those terms. And then I became a mitohacker because I had the great Jack Cruz on this show, the guy who taught me all about mitochondrial health.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I love podcasting. I'm like, I get to meet and talk to all these genius people. This is freaking great. And, but then you eventually you learn too much. And it's like, damn it. Like, I'm not trying to pick on obesity. I just feel bad. Because like I said, from the beginning of the show, I don't hide it. My own family is. And it breaks my heart because if you could just get out of your own way and be willing to let new information in, you could change that yourself. You don't, I'm not here to belittle you. It's just like, no, I just want you to open your ears and don't let it go in one and out the other, so to speak, right? It's just like consume. Like I'm a voracious consumer of knowledge and I get it. Not everybody's wired that way. And it's a shame.
I think it's an interesting thing because I think we're getting the conversation about obesity. We've always gotten it wrong. And it's really a reflection of what's happening in the larger environment and with our epigenetics. So
epigenetics has got a lot more exposure. People are talking about it more.
Yeah, but I mean, back to that whole conversation with glyphosate, and that's the work that Stephanie Seneff does, is that glyphosate directly impacts our ability to utilize amino acids that are critical for the raw materials it takes to build and form a human body. So it's not lost on me, and hopefully not lost on other people, that like when, like my kids are in school and I go to the school and I see the kids and they look doughy. They look emotionally fragile, and they are. And it's directly related to these mass environmental exposures. Like we spray 6 billion pounds of glyphosate on the Earth's surface every year.
Oh, yeah.
That packs a punch. That has an impact.
And there's bleed over. Like no matter how healthy I am, it's kind of one of the reasons why the whole carnivore obsession too. It's like, I know that my farm doesn't do any of that. And she rotates the herd amongst anywhere from 5 to 7 different species of grasses that they have planted, which she figured out that's how they create. They still have marbling in the meat. People are like, oh no, you have to have grain to trigger marbling.
God, what a
right. And I'm like, well, first of all, I was like, and then you wonder why I don't eat grain in this country, and then people say I'm weird. I'm like, but yet you're ready to defend grain-fed versus pasture. I was like, okay, you're picking the wrong battle. And then you wonder why I quit drinking beer and I don't eat grain and sugar and I look like this.
Yeah.
It's just a rocket science. So if you're like, oh, you have great genetics. Have you seen my family? No. So, and again, it's not because I don't love them. It's like we have the same genome. Yeah, things could have triggered us different, but I'm choosing a more committed path of I want sustainability for me. And the frustrating thing I hear from people is, and you being a coach, my God, hopefully you don't have too many of these people. It's like, people are like, oh, well, it's not that big a deal. Okay, well, I don't take any drugs. I have no pharmaceutical prescriptions. I crashed my mountain bike in September, collapsed a lung, broke 4 ribs, in and out of the hospital in less than 24 hours.
People collapsed a lung. Dang.
Yeah. Like literally next morning, they're like, yeah, chest tube's ready to come out. You healed fast.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and
what happens.
Like, yeah. Like, I'm sitting there. I made my wife bring my blue blocker glasses. Cause I mean, again, cause I know too much. I've interviewed too many people. I've got 4 different pairs in this house. She won't wear them. I made her, throw a roast in the crock pot, bring me my beef. Like I don't eat the hospital food. Like maybe people think I'm weird, but I'm like, I don't want to be in this hospital any longer than I have to be. So I put my
Yeah.
health first. But yet, as an independent entrepreneur, I pay $600 a month for my health
Oh
care.
my
And that's
God.
the
No
cheap
doubt.
plan that I could
No
find.
doubt. No doubt.
Meanwhile, I'm not the strain on the system.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the what you're reporting is how the body should feel. That
Mhm.
is how a person should feel. It's not, shouldn't be the exception anymore.
Yeah.
It just needs, it's the norm. When you give your body what it needs, turns out actually works pretty good.
Yeah.
And I do hear a lot of people arguing for their limitations, and it is truly annoying. And to be honest with you, I am very clear now. People lie. People say all kinds of things. I do this, I do that, or I've been doing this and I've been doing that, and it's
Do
not
you?
working it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, are you though?
Yeah.
Because I know you're not. And it's just crazy to me, because I think, what did you hire me for? Like, what am I here to do for you if you already have this shit already dialed
That
in?
was my frustration. Every so often I would
Yeah.
take, because when I left fire and I finally came back to the East Coast here, I helped a friend open up their CrossFit gym, and I was
Mhm.
coaching for 5 years in my free
Yeah.
time. I always had
Yeah.
multiple jobs in my life before fire,
Mhm.
but then with fire, you really can't do anything else.
Yeah.
So when I got back here, I was setting up full-time career goals again, but hadn't figured out the business thing yet. But I'm like, oh, you know what? I still love health and fitness. I was a spinning instructor years ago. I was a ski race coach for
Man, we have a
kids for
lot in
12
common.
years.
I was too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, I gotta have that. I'm a mountain biker and a road cyclist to this day, big mountain ski. Like, yeah, I gotta have that in my life. But
Hmm.
so every once in a while, I would geek out about nutrition with people, because
Hmm.
I truly to this day still believe the kitchen comes first.
Yeah.
Yes, no matter what you're doing in that gym, you cannot exercise a bad diet. That's a quote from Vinny
Nope.
Tortorich. I mean, he's like, dude,
Yep.
he's like, I was the trainer to the stars in LA, dude. He's like, when people need to get ready for a movie, I came in. Nope, I didn't. He didn't have a website back to anything else. He was the guy that did all the famous people and the movie companies paid him a lot of money.
Hmm.
He just put him on NSNG. No sugar,
Yep.
no grains. Obviously put him through exercise, but he's like, you
Yep.
cannot exercise a bad diet anymore. It's not going to work unless you have
The
a rare
truth.
genetic makeup for that.
It's the
So
truth. It's the truth. And everybody, so I'm, in that age range of perimenopause, and everybody's like, oh, I must need hormone replacement therapy, or I must need peptides, or I must need antidepressants, or I must need this hack or that hack. And I feel the same way. I mean, I'm going to probably piss some people off right now, but I feel the same way about creatine and whey protein.
yep.
I get in
I used to
one
do
gram
whey.
of,
I did whey
and
for
I know a
years.
lot of people do, and I do recommend that for people who are like literally on fires and they have
But
no
do people
access
know
to,
the whey protein is actually a waste product?
or yeah,
Like if you
and that
actually
it,
look into all of it, because I geeked out like you have. I'm like, I
yeah,
learned that it's just they found a way to make money off of whatever's left.
yeah,
And it's like,
isolate
oh,
it,
okay.
isolate a whole thing by its parts, and you make more money. Duh.
Yeah.
It's again the duh factor. Like I'm big on the duh. Like, come on, you
Yeah.
guys, just
Like
think it through one
pesticides.
more step.
Going
Yeah,
back to Vietnam, napalm. Where do you think they figured that out from? Right? We now have all the
yeah.
history on it. It's
World War
like,
II. Yeah, I mean, these are
yeah.
World War II era chemicals. But like there, and creatine too. Creatine is such a popular thing. I mean, shit, I just saw Rhonda Patrick talking about creatine in children, and I was
Joe
like,
Rogan was
lady, I
recently
am gonna
talking
throw
about it.
hands with you.
Yeah. He recently brought it up
No.
again on multiple guys, talk about how he's been reading about people saying that it benefits brain health because you're saturating the cells. And I'm like, I did it years ago for a pump at the gym before firefighting. And then I just felt weird. And I was like, then again, creatine is derived from red meat. So I'm just going to go eat a steak. Um,
Again,
I
duh.
don't know.
Duh.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? I don't see, and you have never seen, no one has ever seen cave paintings of big
Yeah.
plastic bins of creatine,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
is not
Somehow
a
they're
whole
all
food.
jacked and ripped. And all
Yeah.
they did was hunt and gather.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
procreate.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like
Yeah. That's a great
population
workout, by the
health.
way.
Population health has always been determined by our ability to reproduce. And right now, we are sucking ass in that
Yeah.
department. And so, yeah, the whole creatine and the whey protein thing, I just can't get with. And I am the odd duck. And I'm like, it's just a matter of time before this house of cards falls down. And I will be over here standing with double middle fingers on the bank while you guys just head down the river. That you guys,
You're my
because it's
sister from
like,
another mother right now, because I'm all about the double bird. I'm like, I sit here and I actually more now than ever, I'm trying to find a way to bite my tongue, because it's just like, guys, I've been saying this forever. So
yeah,
that's why I chose the N1 experiment path. I'm like, I'm just going to
yeah,
do it. And now all of a sudden, every once in a while, somebody will just Facebook message me or DM me over Instagram or text me like, "Hey man, why are you doing this?" Or "How's that going?" And "What's this up?" And "Are you really eating all that butter?" And like yeah, like this weekend, I was planning on literally dragging tree trunks, and I have a lot of wood because I won't waste it. Like all these dead trees, I'm turning them into firewood. I burn wood every winter. I'm like, I love it. So it's a workout.
Yes,
It's like,
yes,
dude,
yes.
I don't need to go use my gym in the barn. I'm just gonna go literally throw a tree trunk on my shoulder, hike it down the mountain to my wood stack, process it with the saw, split it, stack it, and do it all over again. It's
Right.
awesome. You're in the
Yeah.
outdoors. It's wonderful. And people are like, "How are you doing this all the time?" I wish I had your energy. My neighbor told me that. Now that I've known him for, well, 5 years, I got him down 30 pounds.
Yeah.
I just told him to eat more red meat. He goes, "That's not
Yeah.
what my doctor told me." And he's retired. He goes, "I just don't understand how you have all this energy." And I was like, "Try it or not. You do you."
Yeah, I mean, the
So
big thing for me is I really like to think like our ancestors, they would harvest an animal and they would eat
all
the
of it.
organ meats. Well, they
Yeah.
would eat the whole thing, but the first thing that they would eat is the organ meats.
Hmm.
And the thing is that, people can recommend the carnivore diet. I like for a lot of reasons because it's just meat,
It is
salt,
very
and
strict for
water. It's
most
very,
people.
and,
It's
and
very
it is
strict.
super strict.
But I love the
And they're,
simplicity of it.
right. I know
Yeah.
it's like takes a lot of the choice away, which is good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I really like to emphasize this little factoid in that muscle meat is really high in methionine and the organ meats are really high in glycine. So we
Yeah.
need the balance of those two amino acids. And if we have them out of balance, then we have problems.
I started
So
hunting this past year, got my
yeah,
first deer,
yeah,
and
cool.
I have the liver, I have the heart. It was the
But you
first
have to
things I
eat it.
took.
You can't just have
Oh,
it. You have
oh
to
no,
eat
no.
it.
Oh, I ate it. Yeah, because I asked my wife and she goes, "I'm not." She's like, "I thought you were keeping that for the dog." I'm like, "No, no, no, no,
Mm-mm,
no." I was like, I even
mm-mm.
when I get my steer every year, I told her, I was like, "Hey, what happens with the organs? Just like the bones. I make my own
Mm-hmm.
bone broth."
Yep.
And she's like, "Well, no one really takes that." I'm like, I'm already paying for everything else." It's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, throw
Yeah.
that in." So now
Just
she
put it
brings
in there.
the steer heart. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's go." So,
We eat organ meats in this house twice a week. And
wow. Oh, you
the
got me beat. Okay.
um
I'm definitely, it's definitely monthly. So
I think it's really important and for me it's made a huge difference in my energy level
mhm.
and recovery. And I also like there's so many supplements on the market that are trying to replace what
Oh,
we
you
just
mean,
don't get
you want
anymore.
me to name drop him?
Oh yeah, go for it.
The Liver King guy.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Right.
That guy,
Ancestral
that guy's
supplements and all that stuff. And it's
sad
like,
story.
okay,
Yeah.
well, yeah, then he admits he was taking roids, but there is some
Yeah.
he's all about the liver, everybody's dehydrating the organs down into a powder and encapsulating it. I'm like, that's
Hmm.
actually a good runner up if you can't source the organs
Yeah.
regularly, as
I
long as
have
it's
people do
clean.
it.
I'm okay.
Exactly. I have people do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it because it's just such a foreign concept for people. And I think a lot of people find liver taste terrible
Yeah.
and they can't figure out how to work with it in a way that like is palatable. But I just do have to say, like, if it's a brand new thing for you, you've got to give yourself some time and exposure to it because the microbes and the enzymes in your gut are going to have to shift in order for you to break that down and
Well,
digest
that's
it
the same
really
thing anytime it
well.
goes to carnivore. People are like, "Oh, well,
Yes.
did you get the shits?" I'm like, actually, to be fair, if you do a massive dietary shift in any direction,
Exactly. Yeah.
your biome is going to freak out for probably the
Hmm.
first 2 to 3 weeks. Again, I'm not an
Hmm.
expert. It's just I've gone through enough experimentation over the years that
Yeah.
you're doing a gut biome shift. Right?
Hmm.
That's what's happening. People forget how much is going on down there. So yeah, if you went from being a vegan to all of a sudden eating meat again, there's going to be a shift. All these things are happening. Your gut bacteria has to realign on that stuff.
Has to
But
reset. Yeah.
let's
I
tie
just
us back to
did.
firefighters. It's like,
Hmm.
dude, if you can't source fresh liver because you're on a fire, I spent a lot of my income on trying to figure out the supplementing game because I
Hmm.
knew that the fire camp lunches were shit and I
Hmm.
wasn't getting enough fuel. And I was like, so
Yeah.
I was sticking the Star Kiss, the packets of tuna or
Yeah.
salmon in my
Hmm.
leg pocket. And
Hmm.
then other guys were doing, sardines or whatever. I think you were talking about
Yeah.
this on the Hot Shot Wake Up.
Yes, I
Yeah.
I provide people with a list of things to supplement
Yeah.
their
What can you
diet
fit in
with.
your pocket?
What
and
can you
chug down with
carry
some
with
water.
you
Yeah.
that isn't going to like break your back and is
Yep.
going to get nutrients into your system? But yeah, I mean, I think that you have to supplement. There's no way around it. But
Especially in that job. Especially in
like
that job.
what
Yeah.
you were just saying is that foundational, like that mental health piece that is now becoming a bit more of a conversation, right? Like before, like when I was doing fire, it was just people just kind of drank and they hid
Mhm.
their problems and they then would go off at the end of the season, be morbidly depressed,
Yeah.
couldn't get off the couch, then find like resurrect themselves at the beginning of the next season. And they just kind of lived like that. It was a more of a lifestyle.
It's very
And then
unhealthy. Yeah.
I've lost friends from suicide and alcoholism and addiction.
Well,
And
if I could tag in on that, when I
yeah,
went to the 50th anniversary last year of our old crew, I found out that one of my mentors, AJ Rainingbird, Charlie Squad boss, my saw boss, who taught me how to
mhm,
run saws that I'm obsessed with every to this day, he's gone. He
yeah,
committed suicide. And I remember
yeah.
on his days off, that boy could put down a couple six
Oh
packs,
yeah.
30 pack. Like he just got
Mhm.
it on, but he was the most fit dude, Mr. 2-a-day CrossFit guy. But it was such an extreme. I
Yeah.
never in a million years I thought I was going to see him there. They're like, oh no, you didn't hear he had passed away. And I'm like, oh my God.
And
And
it's a lot of people in fire, I think, have a very dopamine dominant brain type. So they
yeah,
love that high energy input, those kind of big exposures, those big experiences to keep them up, 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 up. And then once it's over, those inputs are gone and they're left to their own devices. And so what do you do in that situation? Well, you drink because you're still trying to get that
it's why
dopamine level
military
up.
struggles so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when you understand certain mechanisms about mental health and how to support it using just diet and lifestyle interventions that are really specific to somebody in that lifestyle, then you really have a different outcome and a different experience. And like I put on a webinar this last I guess it would be spring, where I was talking about the foundations of mental health
Mhm.
using nutritional considerations for firefighters. And it was great. It was well attended. And I think I'm going to do it again. It's free. I don't need more clients. Like I'm doing well.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm happy for
But
you. That's awesome.
thank you.
No, it's
Um,
important. You got to be happy with what
it's
you're doing.
taken me a long time to get here, and it's taken me a long time to get clients where there's good alignment, where I'm going to be actually getting through to them. We're
So
going to be working
sustainable
together.
wellness has become sustainable.
It's just, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, it takes time because you got to kind of figure out in business who you are and figure out like the more you do that, the more you bring people towards you
Mhm.
that
I truly
they
believe in the
know
law of attraction.
the
Absolutely.
law of attraction and alignment. It's a huge thing. So for me, I'm not doing this because I'm trying to create clients. That's like not even on my radar. It's just like, damn, I don't want to lose anybody else in this community of people to suicide, to depression, to anxiety, to addiction,
Yeah.
and whatever. It just is it's so worthless because there's this information that I'm relaying is just free, easy, accessible, not rare, easy to find. Anyone can do it information. And so, it's just about like having that on board. I didn't know any of this stuff. And I kind of hit my own personal wall once my son was born. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually never going to get to do this job again.
Hmm.
And it was a really harsh reality check for me.
I bet.
And it kind of felt like everything was getting like taken away. But the other thing is like we were talking about, I mean, just to tie this into other things we've talked about environmental exposures and
Hmm.
different things like that. I mean, the same company that makes glyphosate is the same company that makes fire retardant. It's the same,
Right?
origins are the same, and it's not the same chemical makeup, but it has a similar impact in
Chemicals are
that
chemicals. It's just
it
like
binds
drugs. Everything
to,
has a side effect. Everything has a side.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it binds to those heavy metals and those products bind to trace minerals, bind to important micronutrients and trace minerals in the body that literally make your neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
So, duh, people get
And
depressed.
once they're in, there is enough study to say that if you do things the right way, probably what you help with, you can get them out. And that takes
Sure.
some time. But you have to
Yep.
understand how the mechanisms work and what are the right things or wrong things to consume and help expedite that process. Just like
Yeah.
after COVID and everything,
Hmm.
what's his name? One of the big doctors, he helped formulate a supplement to help people get the spike proteins pushed out and everything. So again, that's a very
Oh,
touchy subject, but I mean,
no,
yeah,
I'm with you. I laugh because I've seen that product and I question. I'm
sure.
like,
Yeah. I don't have to worry about taking it because
I didn't take this shot either
my
because
wife is a very intelligent woman. She went to
Mhm,
Cornell and UPenn, so she's Ivy League
mhm,
educated. Not that it makes it any better, but she's like, I literally, my undergrad, I was in a lab and we studied all about vaccine design and everything else. Again, not to go political, but it's like, she's like, this has never been tested.
yep, yep,
So she's
yep,
like,
yep,
that's
yep,
not
yep.
going in my body. We never followed any of the standardized protocols for launching a
Hmm.
vaccine. So she's like, and
Hmm.
guess what? I study the coronavirus in equine health. We've been studying the coronavirus. Now, granted, it's a different mammal, but she goes, yeah, no, I'm not putting this. And she's also allergic to propylene glycol, which is one of the base
Hmm.
ingredients in all of those. So she's like,
Hmm.
also, I'm not taking that. So she's like, let's just see what happens. And I was
Checking the
like,
boxes on no on this one everywhere
right.
I
So
go.
I heard all that. And I'm like, well, I was going to say no anyway, because I don't like taking shots to begin with. I
Hmm.
don't get a flu shot
Hmm.
and I literally get a sniffle once a year and that's about it. So I've
Yep,
always been that way since I grew up on a farm.
yep,
I
yep.
mean, maybe because my brother and I used to throw shit at each other. I don't know.
Maybe that might have an impact on your
Poo fights as
microbiome.
a kid can really boost your immune system.
It can. So I really nerded out on this vaccine. And I actually sat through 16 hours of the FDA approval process for
Oh
children.
my God.
I know, talk
Why?
about hate
I mean,
yourself,
good for
right?
you, but
No,
yeah.
I wanted to because I was like hearing all these claims about all these things it was going to do. And I was like, it's not going to do that.
No.
Like there are so many other people that are like, all these problems, there's all these holes in the story. And I'm like, just, I can't believe this. So then I sat through, got access to the link. It was public information. I sat
Mhm.
through 2 days of this and I was horrified. I mean, I've never been super trusting of the FDA or any of the alphabet agencies.
Yeah.
But after I did that, I was literally like, okay, like everybody, you are on your own. Like you literally have nobody watching
The
out for
nail in the
you.
coffin for me was when they actually went and changed the definition of what a vaccine is during this process.
Yeah,
I was
that was
like, okay,
crazy.
that's it. If you got to go into the dictionary and the English language and actually change the definition to fit your story, I don't need a foil hat for that. And
No,
half the people have already forgot about that. I'm like, hello, like
no,
you
I
shouldn't have to
know.
change the definition of something to make it fit your story. So
I know.
yeah, we were.
It was crazy making. I think that was for me like some of the worst time in my life because
Yeah.
where I live, everybody's very progressive, and it was because we had a Democratic you know
Yeah.
president in office. Uh, the people who felt in alignment with that
And
party,
it became political, and it shouldn't be political.
it's
It's
not
people's
political, it's public
individual
health.
health.
It's
It's yeah,
well, individual health stacks up to public health. And
yeah,
but said the thing was is that everybody in that political party who felt affiliated with that felt emboldened to share and be so excited about
mhm,
the vaccine. And I was like, I couldn't be less excited. I think this is terrible. I
yeah.
think that we are literally going to never see the end of the health ramifications that we're literally inflicting upon people. And not to say that the virus didn't, the virus totally
Oh,
did.
absolutely. It
But
definitely was
I mean,
detrimental.
I just was telling my daughter again, this is why I have a tinfoil helmet on, but I'm telling my daughter, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you don't just make a vaccine in like a year.
No.
You
Oh, yeah,
make
but the
you
whole world is working
develop
together
a
on it,
you
Jesse.
develop a
We've got a
virus.
worldwide network of teamwork. I'm like, and this is what my wife said, Kristen. She goes, that still doesn't change. You have it doesn't matter how many people teamed up on it. You still have your regular post development cycle. She's like, you still need
Mhm.
time to see what it does. She's like,
Yeah.
you can't change that. I don't care how many smart people work on it.
And
So,
and just that they were just not speaking truth to power on who was actually getting really sick with this. I mean, there were some wild cards for me because it was like, oh, the super old, the elders are going to get sick, the
well, duh.
geriatrics, but they didn't.
Yeah.
There were so many people in their 80s that just got like a headache and they're like, oh, that was annoying.
Yeah.
But then there were people my age who were just getting laid out. But again, it's all about metabolic health. It's all about
Mhm.
mitochondrial functions, all about gut function.
All the experts I already had on the show prior to that all going
Mhm.
down, it was like ding, 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 metabolic health. I had already been talking about
Yeah,
metabolic
yeah,
health for years. And I'm like, now
yeah,
it's finally coming out. I'm like, you see, there's
yeah.
pre-existing conditions that are triggering this. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I
I was
mean,
on my rowing machine in my old house garage gym during all this, and I felt
hmm
like a burning sensation at like I was doing like I was doing the 10,000 meter rows
hmm
because I just like my butt falling asleep, and all of a
yeah.
sudden I felt this burning sensation. I'm like, huh. I don't normally feel that. I just finished the workout. I went in and told my wife, and she's like, "Oh, you probably have COVID. Just get your little test done." And I'm like, so maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but that was it. I'm like, okay, so I have a burning sensation. You ever do a hardcore hero workout in CrossFit? Like, hello, that's a burning sensation.
Right.
So,
Well, we were like original gangsters in COVID because I had traveled to California. My husband had taken our kids to Seattle where it was breaking out at the when they initially caught it, it's
yeah,
probably been going on for way longer. Um,
2020 was really, well, 2021
mhm.
into 2021, 2020. Yeah, but I think
But
it was
he
already going
came,
on.
oh, I think
We
it was
track
going
stuff
on
back to
before then.
18, 19. So, I
hmm
mean, yeah.
But he came back and he was sick and he went down, like he went down with COVID. And I just thought I had like the flu and the kids were sick. We were all sick. And I was like, damn, like this isn't very fun. But I guess, he came back upstairs after like 5 days of being in the basement. And he's like, that was the most sick I've ever been in my life. And he was sick for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I know a few
so
people like that. Yeah.
I didn't, I didn't know what it was. I was just like, well, I guess I'm parenting by myself for a while. That's fucking cool, dude. I'm sick
Yeah.
too. And
It
then
sucks, but yeah.
well, I mean, and then we figured out later it was COVID and then really started to do a deep dive on like what's going on here and tried to learn as much as I could just because I'm a curious person. And
Yeah.
um then I
I don't know,
saw
just
then I saw the
all summing it up, I just thought it was hilarious that all of a sudden we forgot what an immune system was. Like,
oh,
I was like,
right?
I'm not, and I'm like, there's going to be an immune response. Like every other history of every other virus and disease. I mean, a virus is specifically known to man. We develop an immune response, but
Yep. And
somehow this one doesn't work to that.
we kept our kids home because I just did not want my kids dealing with that environment. I didn't want them
Oh
around
yeah.
masking
That's
and all that
psychological
stupid
torture
shit.
for a
It
child.
was, it was
Yeah.
horrible. So then the next year, because we live a block away from the school, we can hear the bell ring, we can hear kids playing on the playground, and they were like, we want to go back to school. They were like
Oh,
begging me.
that's
And I was
cool.
like,
That's cool.
okay, cool. Like we'll go back to school. So then because I have a teaching degree, I go back to school with them and I get a job there and I'm
Yeah.
subbing and I'm just like, it was the worst. Like we literally have left an imprint on this generation that psychological,
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
so bad that, and we don't have anybody that can speak to it. It's just a bunch of people out there on their own figuring it out. And it was horrible. It was horrible. So I became very vocal in my community about like, we've got to stop doing this. Like we've got to like do again, another risk
Children
analysis
need to be around other children. They need to be,
with their face exposed.
yeah,
We
like
don't need to be scaring the shit out of them about
there's so
germs.
much developing at that age,
Oh my God.
psychologically, mentally,
Right.
physically. Yeah, everything. Mannerisms, proper speech protocols, reading
Yep.
lips, all of that. So,
Emotional regulation. They
yeah,
just they just lacked so many things that would just contribute to their ability to function in society. And you can see that on them still. Like they're going through grades and they're just like kids that are just groups of kids that are just fucked up or
yeah.
total fucking assholes. And it's just like, we did this. We did this.
hmm
People just went along with it and they were like, it's for public health. And I'm like, yeah. So I started arguing with the school board and just basically like medical providers in the community because I'm like, you guys got to show me some information. I mean,
Yeah.
doing a simple study on do masks work or not, that's not hard
No.
because there were schools everywhere else that were not wearing masks. And did they have worse outbreaks with COVID? No. So what are
I
we
just still think
doing?
it's
What are we
hilarious because
doing?
I asked my wife in the very beginning, I'm like, so what's the deal with this mask thing? She's like, the only time we put a mask on is if we're cutting open a wound,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
working with an open wound. She's
Yeah.
like, that's really the same thing in human healthcare too, technically.
Mhm.
And she's like, then you're gonna go strap a piece of fabric on, like whatever. And
Yeah.
so she laughed at that too. So,
Yeah.
but she had
Yeah.
one or two customers that wanted them to wear a mask. So she's like, she told her partner, she's like, then you can go there. I'm not going there.
That's
She's like,
right.
you're outdoors in a horse barn.
Right.
Like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me right now? So
Yeah.
she's like, I'm sorry, I don't believe in insanity. And I was like, okay.
Well, it
Um,
sounds like your wife's pretty cool. I mean, that's like the way to go. The fact that people weren't more curious about that or that they weren't interested in trying to figure out better ways and resources to live and how do we problem solve this. I
yeah,
just got really disgusted with the community that I live in, to be honest with you. I was just like,
it was frustrating
dude,
everywhere, and I think I'll tie it back to your brand. What is sustainable from that? All that
right.
crap, there was nothing sustainable throughout that entire
Mhm.
process. And
Yeah.
but nobody was willing to say it or even think about at that what key word. That's why I love your branding. It's like both words, really. There's nothing sustainable about this. Like this can't keep going like this forever. And where was the wellness involved? There
Yeah.
was no there neither of those key words were involved in any of that horseshit. I mean, so
Yeah.
like
Yeah. It
your
was,
brand is the exact opposite of whatever they cooked up. So
yeah, it's just, yeah, it's really hard. So again, it's nice to be able to find clients that are in alignment. And it's not that I expect people to agree with me politically, none of it.
yeah,
It's just like, if this looks like a solution to you, I'm here.
yeah.
And if it doesn't, find somebody
Well, back to
else.
the law of attraction and back to
Yeah.
what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I do
What do you
brand.
explain to me, like
Oh,
Scott Mulvaney's
I do
work
sales,
life?
marketing, and branding because I'm just a geek.
Okay.
But even though I
Just a
was,
geek.
farm kid turned corporate monkey in the telecom IT space, turned firefighter, turned
Wow.
entrepreneur. I've been all over the gamut. So, but I, for jobs, back when I was coaching and managing people in the corporate world, then I decided I didn't like to do that. And then I just was everybody always said I should be like this high level sales consultant. I could sell anything. And I didn't like that back then because I
Mm-hmm.
felt like that's a used car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, a friend of mine needed help starting a company, and I helped her launch the company. And anyway, so then I left, and then she couldn't find anybody better than me. And then we signed a contract, and that's helped me start my own business. And then the rest is history. So I'm very passionate when I help people like take their vision and figure it out. Like I've helped a couple
Mm-hmm.
just buddies of mine from mountain biking, launched their own home improvement companies, did all their branding, logos, all that stuff. It's
Oh,
just
cool.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
core income wise, I'm a high level sales consultant. I meet with CEIOs and we talk purchasing and high level stuff. The biggest impact is in the HVAC industry. That's my biggest client impacts because everybody wants hot air in the winter and cold air in the summer, at least in the first world. Um,
Seems like.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then I
Mm-hmm.
just, because we don't have children, and I still have the hot shot energy flow, I have to do lots of other things. So, whether it be
Uh-huh.
lots of chainsaw activities here or building a gym, future studio in my barn, or
I love it.
launching the charity off of the book. And actually, when I'm done with this, I'm going to go speak with, I don't know how to say his last name, Tim Kadzi. He is the son of J.K. Boots. So, um,
Okay, cool.
so
JK Boots, what's that?
they compete against whites and Knicks.
Oh, okay. And this is the boot. This is who you give boots. This is the giveaway
So
thing.
basically, my charity was started while writing the book, So You Want to Be a Hotshot. And then while writing that, I created Field Foundations at the same time because I wanted to be able to give back with the book. I don't take any
Mm-hmm.
money from it. Then I decided to say, well, what if I don't like the charity that I'm helping? What if the charity becomes defunct or what if it become inappropriate? So, because
Sure.
I don't know what was going on, there's so many different wildland firefighting charities nowadays.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, how about I just start my own? I mean, I know I launch companies all the time, so I'll just do that. And then my editor was like, well, I don't think I've ever worked on a book that benefits a charity, let alone starts one. I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so now literally all the proceeds from the book go into that. And then 5% of my own income from my businesses goes into that too. So I basically,
Cool.
until I
That's
can
awesome.
create social cred, um, so I was already doing other things. I sent myself down to Hurricane Helene, North Carolina, back in
Mm-hmm.
September. Spent a week down there with my saws, just wrecking house on
Amazing.
my
That's
own dime.
awesome.
And then one of my board members, he was jealous because I didn't call him first, and I helped fundraise his trip. And then we sent him down a few weeks after me, and he wrecked house down there with chainsaws and helping out. And then, but then by September, I was like, dude, I got to get something that directly impacts the wildland firefighting community. So
Mm-hmm.
I branding brain, what's the foundation of a firefighter's efforts? It's their feet. You need a quality
Mm-hmm.
pair of boots. And
Yeah.
my boots back in '08 when I bought those, '08 '09, those were $450 boots from Nick's. Now now boots, thanks to inflation, are upwards of anywhere from $600 to $800, depending on the level of boot you
No
buy.
way.
Oh
I
yeah.
had no idea.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, eye opener. So now,
God, no
granted,
kidding.
so now I have an account with Nix and I have an account with JK. JK took the offer first. I'm just
Hmm.
saying, hey, dude, I gotta be able to order boots. And JK's
Hmm.
didn't exist back then. They're cranking it. They're killing it right now. JK's awesome. So
Right
anyway,
on.
so since September, we've already donated 11 pairs of boots. So I'm, you know, let's say I'll just round down. I mean, depending on who's buying what, I'm paying basically $500 to $600 per pair of boots. So they're discounting it for me.
Hmm.
So what is that? 6, 7 grand in so far
Yeah.
of my
That's
money.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
I got 2 more firefighters that I already awarded in the past 3 weeks, but I guess JK's been slammed and my last contact must not work there because I haven't been able to reach anybody. And then finally, Tim called me back on Friday. He's like, I'm so sorry, we've been slammed. I will talk to you on Monday because I want to make sure, like, dude, I have the money. Uh,
Yeah.
I already emailed the 2 firefighters because I take my original rookie helmet there and I
Hmm.
load, and actually you'll get a kiss out of this. So I still buy the all weather notebooks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I purposely, I keep everything symbolic. I write the firefighter's name who submits it via the email when they follow my protocol on the website. And if they give me a boot company of preference, I'll note that and what crew they're with. And I just fold up the piece of paper and I throw in the helmet and I just do a random drawing when I'm ready to give away a pair of boots. So,
Oh,
so
wow.
I try and
Cool.
put that on Instagram and Facebook now and YouTube and all that. And then,
Yes, I did share
yeah.
that on my Instagram
Hey,
page that
yeah.
you were doing a boot giveaway
Yeah. So it's called
because
the boot refuel fund because
Mhm.
technically it's also to rebuild boots too, because that's cheaper. It's still a
It is
couple hundred
cheaper.
dollars for boots, but I was like, no, only one guy asked for a rebuild.
Oh.
And then, but because I have the boot companies call them back, I try and give them a VIP experience. And
Hmm.
then the dude's boots weren't good enough. They weren't rebuildable so there's so many different types of boots
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot that because I've been out of it for a while, that there's a lot of other boots that people buy that are
Hmm.
sort of acceptable, but they're
Hmm.
not rebuildable.
Right.
So
Yes.
I know it's more expensive, but it's like I will only give away the best. So it's got
And
to
the
be
times like
yeah,
for me that I tried to go to like a La Sportiva
yeah,
boot, it was not comfortable.
no,
I always wore whites. I always felt like whites were
yeah.
very comfortable. So I
Back then
never got a chance to try a
it was
different
Whites,
brand.
Nicks, or
Yep.
Danners.
Danners, that's right.
I don't know if Danners are rebuildable or not, but anyway,
I don't
no.
know.
But my thing is,
Yeah.
if you're going to become a career guy or not, I didn't become a career guy, but I was like, I took my own story and I said, I want to get that dude or girl um, boots that could last. So because
Hmm.
I know for me, all I do is get new soles on. We just literally hiked the tread off of them in a year.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
back then we
Yep.
hiked. Apparently, hotshots aren't hiking as much as they used to. Maybe I don't
Oh,
know if that's
really?
true.
I didn't. That sucks.
My old squatty says he goes, it's a little softer these days. I was like, what does that mean? I mean,
Oh,
I don't know.
wow.
Yeah.
I can see maybe how they're like, we've got to keep people safe and it's a liability if
I'm
they're,
guessing that's it. See, he's like, there's a lot
hmm
more pulling
that
back, holding the
sucks.
line versus like going direct. He goes, yeah.
Hmm.
He's like, Scott, when you served, way more direct those 2 years. I was like, yeah, it was
Hmm.
so much fun. He goes,
Hmm.
yeah, there's some rule changes on that. So,
Interesting.
um,
Huh.
yeah. So I was like, that's why I was like, dude, if I was put my name and my charity behind it, I'm only gonna work with a pair of boots that I know that once I get you going, maybe you blow a seam out. Okay, they can rebuild that. If you
Hmm.
need a new tread, you can get 2, 3 seasons or more out of your boots. That's more sustainable
For
than and
sure.
I go back and buy another pair of boots. So far I haven't actually rebuilt a pair of boots yet. It's all brand new builds, which
Uh-huh.
I kind of expected that. I knew it.
Yeah.
But I'm running out of names soon though, so I'm gonna have to do a new campaign push to try and attract new firefighters because I haven't really pushed in a while because I only have so much money to give away anyway. So it's literally as I make my money, it replenishes the
Hmm.
coffers.
Hmm.
So, but after those California fires a few months back, I did get a
Right.
few California citizens who saw tags or something, or they were related to a firefighter, and they shared it. So that was nice. So I
Yeah.
think,
I mean, I'll definitely share it out there because I
thank you.
think it's like a really important, I think it's very cool. I mean, I think firefighters get a lot of accolades from the outside, from people who don't know what it's like to do it, but then to have somebody who's done it leave and then come
Oh, I
back
tell
and
people
give
here on the
back
East
is
Coast all
pretty
the time. I'm
great.
like, yeah, I had to buy those. Like, well, no, that's not that's your
No.
uniform. I'm like, no, no, no. You
Yeah.
now I've done research since, and it's on
Mhm.
fuelfoundations.org's website. But I have found that there is a boot stipend program. It almost got killed last year or year before from lax of taxes. Let's cut this fund. Let's cut that fund. I'm like,
Mhm.
so there was a fund I found they were paying up to $500, but it was every 3 years. So automatically I'm like, dude, if you're a smoke jumper, hot shot, hell attack, or a hardcore type two crew, I don't see that really helping. I mean, it's a step in the right direction. So I made sure those resources are there too. So people didn't know where they're all at. I linked all that into the site just to kind of create like a resource, but I still don't think it's enough. And that's why I decided like, okay, that's going to be my mission. I needed to have a single brand. I created a secondary logo, which I'm probably going to, I think I'm going to turn into like a challenge coin because all of a sudden I got a few crews that sent me some challenge coins and stuff. I'm like, oh, we have challenge coins now. So I don't know if did your crew ever have a challenge coin?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
don't know what
have,
that is.
it's, there you go. There we go. So I have a whole hotshot shrine over here. So my crew has like, US Forest Service on the coin
Hmm.
and there's Mesa Hotshots.
Okay.
And then this one is from, well, this one's from Granite Mountain. Well, Granite Mountain passed away, and I
Right.
knew a lot of those dudes.
Mm.
But the Marsh Foundation, Eric Marsh was the
Hmm.
superintendent, so they
Hmm.
created a challenge coin and Yarnell Hillfire. So I was out there to see the monument that they built and everything. So I
Hmm.
I stopped by the charity office and bought some stuff. And then one of my old soups, he shipped me a coin from Louisiana from his crew. He's running down there. So I was
Cool.
like, oh, so there's challenge coins now. I don't know.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So it's a little marketing shtick. So that's why I was like, that's what I do. I was like, okay, in order to grow this charity, I got to slowly start adding some of my own knowledge into this. Okay, maybe create a hat or a shirt to draw donors because, like, hey, if you donate this much, then we'll send you a hat or a shirt and
X.
start creating
Yeah.
some
Hmm.
tiers and then it gets the brand out there too. Like
Totally.
any firefighter that I award, once I figure this out, I'm gonna follow up with every single one of them and say, yo, I hope the boots are doing great. I want to send you something. Do you want any of this? Like once I figure all that out, but it's still
Hmm.
very fresh. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, as you build a community, as you've learned, word of mouth is the free stuff. That's
Right.
if you're building a great organization or a great practice like you have for wellness, you're not going to have a problem. The people are going to share
Right.
your stories. They're going to be the great
Right.
testimonials,
Right.
and the word will
Yeah.
get out there. You don't need to help thousands of people.
No, and I
So,
think it's like just really like, I mean, there's always this way in fire, just knowing your intent. The intent is the North Star. Whenever you're not sure about what to do, go back to your intent.
yeah,
And it sounds like this project is similar to kind of the way I operate in that this is coming from my heart. This is
yeah.
something that I care about deeply.
I couldn't ignore it
And
anymore. Yeah,
yeah,
does that make
yeah,
sense? Like,
yes,
I put that in
yes.
the book. You said you struggled when you had your child. I I was hurting for probably the first couple years and didn't know it because
Hmm.
I had so much fun while also getting
Hmm.
the shit kicked out of myself. But
Right.
it left such a mark in just those couple of years that I couldn't understand it. So I'm living in
Hmm.
Colorado and just, yeah, I have a spreadsheet that has over 200 jobs that I applied to. And I'm a self-paid college guy that went back as an adult. So like I already
Hmm.
I have a double BS in marketing and psychology, and I just finished risking
Wow.
my life for a living, but I couldn't get a job in Colorado. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and I'm living in the Denver market in Golden. I'm like, what is wrong? I was like, I should be
Hmm.
getting snatched up. Now, granted,
Hmm.
my rock climbing, I got in so many routes. My skill was getting leveled up.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was not a sustainable life. I was vagabonding, like you said, living out of the Subi. I had a shitty apartment with a couple of mountaineering buddies, one of which used to be a hot shot, so I connected into that world. And
Hmm.
then eventually, a friend of mine, when a hurricane hit here back east, some of my old crew that were laid off of where they reached out to me like, "Yo, you're the East Coast guy. We're building an off season side business. We're going to head out and help with the hurricane
Hmm.
recovery in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. You want to go with us and make some money?" I'm like, okay. And that's when a friend of mine got together for dinner, and her and her husband were like, yo, we're going to start a company. We'd love to have you come back from Colorado to help us figure it out. And the rest is history. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I
um,
think once when my kids were, well, even before I had kids, I was teaching, I don't know, I was teaching spin classes, different places all over
I love
Missoula.
teaching
And
spin at 6,
it's
five
so
thirty, 6 o'clock
fun.
in the morning. And then
And then,
you go to your full-time job and people are like, how much coffee did you drink this
yeah,
morning?
why
I'm
are you
like,
talking so
none.
loud? Well, and I loved the music. So I loved picking my own playlist and I
Yep.
loved just creating my own workouts. And it was fun because it was like intentional.
Yep.
Like I'm not just here to do like get your heart rate up to like 135 and hang out there. It's just more like, hey, we're going to do some intervals because
Yep.
that's what this is for. Because this experience is to make the actual fun experiences, riding your real bike,
Yeah.
more productive. That's
Well,
what
and
we're
I was a
here to
real
do.
cyclist. The other
So,
spinning
and me
instructors at
too.
my gym
So
never rode a road bike.
exactly. Well, I don't
So I
love
would
road
replicate my
biking.
rides. I would
It's
replicate my rides. So
exactly.
yeah,
It's for me, it was for mountain biking.
same thing. Yeah,
And
intervals. Yeah.
so yeah, so that was fun. And I did that for a while, and then I did some ski coaching, and I was like, okay. And so I have my two kids, and I was just like thinking about like what do I want to do for work, like for real work, because I was like ready to get back into it. And I was like, I just knew I wasn't going to go back to fighting fire, which was such a disappointment because I had spent the last 3 years of my time fighting fire, establishing a daycare at the smokejumper base, which let me explain to you was no easy task. And so
Yeah,
then
that did not connect for me at all.
yeah, it was very challenging for a number of reasons. But then once my kids were born, I was like, I can't leave my kids to have somebody raise them for, for an entire day while I went and did work that wasn't very important to me. And so I quit. And it was a really hard decision and it was painful. And I think I was really numbed out to it for a long time. And then my son was born. And then,
It's from one extreme to the next. Yeah.
yeah. And so when he was about 10 months old, I just hit the wall and I was like, I kind of went through some shit for a while. And I essentially just was like, you got to do, what are you going to do? You got to do something here. So I kind of thought through it and I'm like, I'm relatively unemployable. Like there's no job I would go back to where I would have somebody telling me what to do
Yep.
for a small paycheck. I was like, I'm just going to do my own thing. I'm going to do this. I don't know where I'm going or exactly how it's going to work, but I had this experience working for this physician who used food as medicine. I know this stuff. I can go back and get a little more education. And I'm a curious person. I'm very nerdy. Last night I was reading out loud to my son about positive hydrogen ions and ATP production
Ooh, I've
and
been
different.
considering the hydrogen supplementation experiment actually. So that's funny you bring
Oh,
that up. Yeah.
so yeah, so the episode I recorded with Stephanie Seneff, she was talking about that, but I didn't have a lot of context for it. So I've been really trying to figure out like this whole structured water thing and like positive hydrogen ions and like, what does this mean? And so I don't know if you're familiar with James D. Nicolantonio. He's super cool, super brilliant guy. He's a
Okay.
pharmacist and he's wrote the book Win, which if you haven't read that, it's a great one. But he's talking about these different energetic systems in the body that are responsible for ATP production. And we all learned in like high school science that like, the preferred fuel source for mitochondria is glycogen and whatever, like, you rely on amino acids, glycogen, and essential fatty acids for fuel for the mitochondria. Okay, we all kind of got that in our basic science classes, but what he's talking about is different utilizations based on what you're doing. And he's talking about, VO2 max being determined by positive hydrogen ions in the blood, which is basically just another way of saying inflammatory byproducts. And so anyways, I'm just a nerd. I'm just reading the stuff out loud to my son last night. And,
I'm with you.
and,
Like, I mean,
he's just looking at me like, what?
the one supplement I take is glutathione.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, glutathione's a really tough one to supplement because it's hard to make that in the laboratory. It's really something that does way better.
I'll be airing a show soon that blew my mind.
Really?
So
Okay.
I found a high level pharmacist that created a topical.
Interesting.
Spray it on your skin and rub it in.
I have tried that.
I've
done
because
that.
of the absorption, but I guess
Yeah.
it's how he was like very rich. So he literally in California built his own water purification facility, his own laboratory to specifically pull this off. Like, I don't know what level this dude plays at. I'm like, what? He's like, I can't trust any other company. I'm like, okay.
No, I get it. I bet you have tried that product. And not like for me, I didn't notice anything, but I know when I eat red meat and eggs, I
Oh
feel
yeah,
pretty great.
I'm with
So
you. I still come nutrition first.
yeah, no. I get
Yeah,
that. But yeah, I mean, it's just so anyways, to get back to my whole point here is that I
yeah. Dr.
just
Nayan Patel. That
I've
sound
never heard
familiar?
of him. I've never heard of
He's
him.
the inventor. So,
But yeah, I
um,
mean, I had to get back to something that I loved and was passionate about, and that's the North Star. Like that's
yeah.
how like because it sounds like your work, you find a lot of joy in it, a lot of fun.
Well, I've
And for
realized over my
me,
whole life, I have to do something good.
yeah.
Like, I think firefighting was like, I'm just diving 110% into it because I know
Hmm.
that's going to do something good. But
Hmm.
then I was lacking life balance. I was
Mm,
seeing all the red flags from the health standpoint, right? Like
sure.
when you're hiking into a fire in New Mexico and they give you radiation sensors to clip on your pack because you have to worry about nuclear radiation
Right?
because you're near a laboratory. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, if it beeps too fast, just turn around and go the other way. And I'm like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
is this my future?
Yeah. I know. I was too
So,
young to think about it. I was too
yeah.
young to think about it. But
Now I think that was maybe my blessing and curse at the same time. And
hmm.
that's where, well, yeah, when I spent those couple years vagabonding, I realized now I got no purpose or I'm not aligning. And it took, like you said, with your business, it took many years to get to this point. And then when you start stabilizing your life, right? Stabilizing your income, stabilizing some of your purpose,
Hmm.
now you're capable of doing and attracting those extra elements that you've always wanted. And then things just
Right.
start falling into place. And sometimes you
Yeah.
got to trust the process,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it feels right and it feels good.
Yeah. And I think the older I get, the more things like if there's something that's not in alignment for me, it's intolerable. It's
Yeah.
intolerable. I cannot
I'll
hang.
just cut it out. Like I
Yep.
literally have no problem flipping that switch. It's
Yeah. And
like
it's like
quitting
that
beer.
for
I'm like done. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like that even for people. If
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're just not a cool, like, I'm not feeling this anymore. I'm not hanging in here with this.
Well, and actually
Um,
I'm being a psych buff
mhm,
right there. Yeah. You are it's a Jim Rohn quote. You're the product of the five people you spend the most time with. There is
mhm.
so much truth to that. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
If the relationship is not serving you, yeah, I'm not, it's okay to be a little selfish and say, dude,
That's right. Yeah.
you're bringing me down, bro, or girl,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, hold on. And then
Yeah.
if they're doing a lot of negative things in their own life and negatively impacting others, I'll cut somebody out of my own family for that. Like, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that anymore.
I hear
No.
you. I hear
And
you.
it hurts at first, but then it's like, man, wow, life's kind of easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be doing things at your own expense. I mean, I find it insufferable anymore. I'm
And
like,
again, to tie it
it's
back
not
to your
there.
brand, it's not sustainable for somebody like you.
Mhm.
How are you supposed to put 110% or whatever your percentile is you do into each and every one of your clients, right? You're giving so much. So you need to be able to recharge and heal back up to be able to continue doing that for that person moving forward. And
And I think it was
that's
really the pandemic that kind of galvanized this thing, this what you're getting at here is that it's our personal responsibility
boom.
to show up 110% ourselves.
Can I give you
We
another
owe
quote?
that to the world. Oh yeah.
Old
You have another
corporate
quote?
quote life. I was with a company that was acquired. So back in the day on the East Coast, there was a company called OmniPoint. On the West Coast, there was a company called Western Wireless. And then they got married and they became VoiceStream Wireless. I'm aging
Hmm.
myself. And then
Hmm.
VoiceStream Wireless was acquired by Deutsche Telekom out of New Jersey, or sorry, out of Germany, and it created T-Mobile USA because T-Mobile
Hmm.
existed in Europe. Long story short,
Hmm.
I lived through all of that. I worked through all of that. And but I will say when they became T-Mobile, they got rid of all of our managerial titles and turned us into coaches, tons of ongoing coaching and development, which I still value to this day because you can apply it in so many things. But the one quote I'll never forget, and I can't remember if it was a new mission statement or a value statement for the company, was we are personally and collectively accountable for our results. You have
That's
to
right.
put the personal accountability first.
Hmm.
So if each of us steps up and becomes personally accountable, it's even easier and more productive when you collectively become accountable as an organization.
That's right. That's how we get the job done. That's
Yeah.
how as firefighters we
Like
get the job
firefighters,
done.
how are you
Yeah.
supposed to trust your 19 other brothers and sisters if you're a traditional 20 person crew, right?
Hmm.
Dude, you are literally risking your lives together. Yeah,
Yep.
there's at least four dudes that I want to knock out on a regular basis because they're just dicks. But in the end, we respected each other. And then you just go get your days off and then you're fine again. It was like an ongoing drama. But there's just certain people who don't rub you the right way. But in the end, are you stepping up for each and every other person around you?
And I think that's the question that we all need to ask ourselves, like right now, is like, what are we doing?
That's my issue with society. There's not enough people stepping up and taking accountability for themselves.
Agreed.
And this is my own people in my friendship circles, my own people in my family. I don't hide anything. It drives me nuts.
And I think that people, you know, I'm really irritated with like people who right now are really pissed off about what's happening with the government. I'm like, what were they doing for you before this 100 days? Just, I mean, nobody.
Why do you focus on what you can do?
Yeah.
Right.
Stop arguing for all these limitations that this is happening to you. This is so bad. Pull up your big girl.
I've never attended a protest. And again, this might rub people the wrong way. Never had time to go to a protest because I've always been working for a living.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what did I say earlier? Before I became a firefighter, I had 3 jobs my whole life. 3 jobs.
I can really relate to that because I am in the same boat. And you know, when I was, I didn't ever not work. So even in the off season, I was still working because I was like,
I would, after screwing around in the off season, I would still come back here and work with the kids race team here in the Poconos and work with, and because I loved working with like just coaching and it's athletics, and it gave me something to do and feel like I had purpose. You know?
It's some structure and some purpose. And
I had a little bit of beer money back then, but
well, I've always enjoyed making a paycheck. I mean, I like that. I love being financially free.
Yeah.
To live my life and do my things and not have someone or something tell me I can't do something because I didn't have enough money. You know, so for me, it's about freedom and being free.
It took me years to learn the respect for money and really understand the power of money. And for years, I was always afraid of it, you know, because I didn't grow up with a lot. My family didn't teach me anything about money. But if I had to fast forward that story today, never feel guilty about making money, especially making good money, right? Because this is a great quote. I went through some stuff recently with extended family and stuff that really showed a bad side of people. Because I said, you know what? Money only amplifies who you truly are at your core, at your heart. So somebody like me, I literally hard coded in my business saying, I'm a for-purpose business. 5% of my income goes to charity. And then when I eventually launched a charity as well, now directly, I can tell you exactly what charity, but back then I was donating like to whatever I felt like, but now I'm very focused, right? If you're evil at heart, maybe you obsess about inheritances, this or that, or social, like what you look like and how much money you have and bragging this and bragging that. And I'm like, no, see, money's an amplifier. It's how you choose. It's what you get to choose as your core values to amplify that.
That's right.
Like you'll appreciate this. That's why so much, I haven't gone this long in a while. I'm sorry. These ribs, duty, respect, and integrity are tattooed on my ribs. Where did that come from?
I don't know. Where did that come from?
Our little handbook. The
that's right.
Handbook.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean, not.
Well, I mean, exactly. It's too simple and average, but like as I was rebuilding myself after leaving, and I'm like, actually, my wife and I were dating back then, and she went to a conference in Louisiana, and I decided to get those added on, and then she already said that I'm a guy that has more tattoos than she ever, has dated before. And up until that point, I just had a Celtic cross in my spine and the big phoenix from firefighting. So I'm like, what's a few words on my ribs? But I waited till she got back to tell her. I was like, oh, check it out. She didn't really like that. But I was like, no, these mean something to me. And the reason why I put them on my body is because I'm literally channeling this into everything that I do moving forward, whether it's the business, whether it's nonprofit. It just was very symbolic for me. Like I said, serving in that world changed my life, and I'll always honor it.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I think it really formulated a work ethic for me that I had already because my parents were very work oriented. Both grew up working class and poor and just were like very gritty and determined to not raise us in the same way. And so working at my house was not optional. Like you had to work or, I mean, that's how I
Well,
know
I had
how to
animals
kill
to
a
take care of, so whether I liked it or not, I had some shit to shovel.
That's how I knew how to kill a chicken with my bare hands the other day. My husband was like, "Oh my God." I was like,
Yeah,
"I don't know. I mean, it's
their
just like
necks are
my
really weak, and so is their skulls. So
I
yes,
know it
yeah.
was just one hit and bam, it was
I
over.
learned the neck snap technique if you
Oh,
can get a
and
hold of the neck. So
and it really my decision was not I was not planning on killing this chicken. It was just basing it off of the law of probability.
yeah,
I had a large stick in my hand and I was like, I'm not going to catch this
yeah.
thing. So I just went and hit it and it died. And but it was just, but it's just a matter of like growing up in an environment where you are required to do
You
shit.
just have to get shit done.
You have to get shit done. And
Your husband was
so
struggling. You had a possible quick scenario solution. Boom.
hadn't even had my coffee yet. And I get up, I'm still like in my pajamas. I mean, it was very white trash situation going on in my
Something
backyard.
like a
I'm sure my neighbors were really stoked. But
that
the
would have
end of
been
the
great on a
day,
Ring camera footage or something like that.
I know I should ask around. Like, did you guys anyone catch that? But yeah, I mean, it was just, like again, it's just stop. We need to stop looking around and thinking somebody's got to fix something. We got to do it. We got to do it. And I think that's just what I loved about fire was just being around people who could roll
Yeah.
their sleeves up and get it done.
You're surrounded by people who get shit done. And
Yeah,
if you're not
what
a
a great
person,
place
if you're not a
to
person to
be.
get shit done, you're probably not going to last in that crew.
And no one's gonna like you. You're not
Nope.
gonna be very well liked.
No, you're going to
So
be known as the lazy shit or
the bag,
that
yeah.
slow bag at the back of the group, or
Hmm.
like because like you didn't put the work in the off season, or you've been
Hmm.
dragging it at PT doing basic stuff, or you're that guy that triggers never ending push-ups when you're hoteled up because you're the late guy to show up for lineup in the morning because you
You
slept
know,
in.
when I was jumping, that my last fire assignment was in Canada. And oh man, I'm probably gonna like gain some haters on this one because it was kind of a dark role.
You're only going to get
That
haters if you share this because most smoke shoppers don't even know who I am. So
well, I I had been on a roll that summer. I had jumped 13 fires, which is a lot
damn.
for a normal fire season. But everybody else just like it was nothing was happening. There was no activity. And I just lucked out. I just lucked out. I just kept going on roll after roll, but I kept also being the
Nice.
jumper and not really because I kept drawing the short stick and that I was the jumper in charge all the time. And so
Oh,
that's not fun because you're the first in the door and you've got to like be in charge. You got to be the boss.
yeah.
And that means you got to be always on the radio with dispatch and with other people and giving directions. And I was just kind of like, I just want to be like having fun. I don't really want to be in
Yeah.
charge. And so,
Like, can I just jump? Yeah.
yeah, I just want to go and have fun. Like I'm here for a good time. So anyways, I ended up going to Canada. I ended up being the JIC, which sucks. This is called jumper in charge, whatever.
Yep.
And so we get up there and people
I've
were
read a few
showing,
books
and
on it.
I was so burnt out by this time. There were people that would show up late to get to the base, and I was like, "Fuck you, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Get in the get in the rigs. We're out of here. You can't make it to work on time. This is not my problem. You're not making your problems my problems. Let's go."
Yeah.
And so I remember getting like a phone call from one of the jumpers I left behind. He was like bitching me out, just completely chewing me out. I was like, "Fuck you, dude." Hung up the phone.
Are you
I was
legit?
just like-
Why were you late? You know?
I mean, I was just, but that's how burnout I was. I was just like, I got no tolerance for this shit.
Yeah.
Like, take responsibility for your bullshit. He's been, he was been jumping for way longer than I had been jumping for. And I
So
was
you
just
should
like,
know better.
I'm not here to be abused and made to be looked like having people think that I am responsible. I'm the reason that we're late because
yeah.
I'm the jumper in charge. You're the reason we're late. And you're just not getting a ride this morning. So anyways, that got nipped in the bud real quick. But it's just,
there's consequences in life.
Yeah.
And for people looking for a free ride just to be lazy or just I mean, even if it was a simple, innocent thing like, oh, I didn't think I was that late. Dude, if there's a departure time set and you didn't show up on time, you missed like, dude, if this is a life or death situation, time matters. Right.
Yeah. And I don't want to be your mommy. I'm not here to wipe your ass.
Yeah.
And so this guy's not a shitbag. He's not a bad person. He just wasn't on time. And I was like, bye.
You could be the best firefighter out there. If you had a breakdown and you missed a roll, then we'll pick up a fill-in from a nearby engine crew. My bosses would have already been on the radio. They were hardcore pressed to prove why we got our hotshot, type 1 status back after retesting. Like, we are not losing this ever again. That was due to a prior soup who they pushed out. But I was like, dude, no. We were militaristic. I loved it because it was like, I was like, damn, is every other crew like this? Because like, I feel like getting my ass kicked day in and day out. But it was like, dude, I can't, I lost track of how many push-ups I did because we were always being penalized for something. I mean, we'd be doing push-ups at the gas station. I mean, it was, somebody screwed up, yeah.
The Flathead wasn't like that, but everybody was very internally motivated. They
Yeah.
were there
What about
to
Arrow?
work.
Was Arrow like that?
Arrow, like, no, I was on Lolo before
Oh,
that.
no, I thought you mentioned there was another hardcore hotshot crew you were talking about.
Oh,
So
Sawtooth. Oh
Sawtooth,
my
sorry,
God.
yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of corporal punishment that went
Yeah,
down. A
yeah.
lot of push-ups, a lot of like
We even
like
invented
the hot shot wake up for sure. I mean, that was like
we invented bumper push-ups one time.
oh,
you know how high up the back
yeah.
bumper is on a buggy?
Mm-hmm.
Boots up there.
Yeah. Incline
Those
push-ups,
suck.
yeah.
You're asking to blow a shoulder out. It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but they were definitely hardcore like that. And Flathead wasn't. They were a little bit more of like the peaceful hippies, but they also, they worked hard. We worked hard.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of really awesome PTs. And so, yeah, but there wasn't a lot of like need for that. I mean, we definitely went out, partied and did all the things, but we always showed up to work on time. We always worked hard.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. We had one guy, he could benefit from you. We nicknamed him Shenane, but his last name was Shenander, Dana. He came from, I forget if he had the Wisconsin accent or what's the other one up there? Anyway, Canadian influence. Anyway, his gut was a piece of crap. I mean, that guy, every PT hike he'd puke, vomit.
Oh.
He admitted he had gut issues. He was taking drugs for it. I'm like, you're going to come serve as a hot shot? I'm like,
that sounds terrible.
He was looking weak all the time. Finally, the second year, he ended up having to quit the season early too. He was a mess. And I'm like, bro, you got to heal that. I mean, it was bad, but he got nailed for all kinds of stuff. But I'll say this, he had a heart. Yeah. He didn't want to quit. He didn't want to stop, but he was weak. But he kept fighting through it. And I will always honor him if I ever name drop on the show in case he ever listens to it. Because I'm like, you know what, dude? Yeah, we busted your balls a lot. And it was a little annoying from time to time. But in the end, I'm like, you still tried. That's what matters.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah. But hey, we've gone 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, we should probably hop off because I've got the next shift of my life, which is going to be me. What's that?
Parenting or
parenting? Yes. I will be in the car shuffling things around.
Okay. Well, I got to call JK Boots to make sure these orders get fulfilled. So even better. So
yeah, that's important too.
So I got to make sure we have this new process locked in because I got 2 outstanding orders and I want to go do another award this week and put new content up. I'm like, bro, I'm not going to give you another order unless I know we got this all washed out. And it's not his fault. I think it's because the guy got fired or something. I don't know. So, but hey, I asked my guest co-host to help close out the show. You've already dropped some big bombs, big nuggets, and I knew I was going to vibe with you. So it's been an honor having you on.
Yeah, it's been great.
Over the years, I was always asking for final words from the guest co-host. Then through maybe maturity or something, like you were saying earlier about aligning with your heart and really digging into passion, I realized for me, it's become a legacy. Like I could die mountain biking tomorrow, but I created a charity that I haven't figured out how to make it permanently sustainable yet, working on it. But it's the whole point is that I want people to remember the good, or what is the good we're trying to do in this world, whatever you want to call it. So I just call it a legacy message, but is there a legacy concept that is behind sustainablewellness.net or, whatever, like I'd like to let you close out the show. So.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for having me on. We talked about so many of the things here, but really it's just about finding that obligation to yourself and to other people to show up and whatever that means for you. So get engaged in things that move you, whatever that is. And I think that we all have this inherent drive, this heart space that drives us, if we can tune into it. But we live in a world that kind of drives us away from tuning into that. So I really want to encourage people, the more in alignment your biochemistry is, the more healthy you are, the higher level of foundational health and wellness you have under your belt, the more easily that orientation is accessible, the more you can find alignment, the more you can go for things that move you and that spark your interest in your brain and keep you going. And I think that we have a responsibility, not just to ourselves, but really, like, my whole business is oriented around shaping the future, because once I had children, my worldview changed dramatically. And I felt really compelled to think about what kind of a world I was leaving for my kids. And that's a big orienting factor for me. And so when I get lost in the weeds, and sometimes I think owning a business means you don't know which direction you're going to go next. I always kind of remember that piece, and I spend a little time sitting with that, and it does help me find my path again. And so I just think we have an obligation to ourselves for the benefit of the next generation. And that might, that can mean just achieving foundational health and wellness so that you can do that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and 100% agree on that, because that's some legacy right there. We talked about a lot today, right? You have to take
Yeah, we
personal
did.
accountability for your health. I mean, well
That's
said.
right.
Listen, hang tight. I'm going to give you a proper goodbye off the air, and then let's go do the mommy thing.
Okay,
Ladies and
sounds good.
gentlemen, Jessie Thomas, Sustainable Wellness. Oh, it's been an honor having you on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. Jessie definitely hit on 2 hours of solid points today with me. So again, it's been an honor to have you on. Thank you for your service over the years. Thank you for what you continue to do for the wellness community. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, you too can live the fuel. We'll talk to you guys again soon.